All right, we are almost ready to start. How's everybody doing? It is Tuesday night, fashionably late. Absolutely. Listen, we are on CPT over here. All right, y'all know how this should go. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, you know how we get down. You know how we get down. Don't act brand new. We have a new video to react to. So there was this video that came out talking about Peter Cheng and my feature match that inevitably got him banned from Yu-Gi-Oh! So there's a lot to this because this video is like an hour long. So we're going to spend about, I don't know, maybe 2 hours. I'm going to give you guys more context on the situation because a lot of things I don't think everyone knows about. But since I actually lived through it, you know, I can add a lot to this. So because I remember everything about this very vividly in terms of the circumstances surrounding Peter Cheng. And I actually had a relationship with Peter Cheng because he was friends with one of my close friends, Steve Silverman. And so because they were both like vendors, Silverman was an official vendor. He still is. He works for Alternate Universes, which is my local. And Peter Cheng was a backpack vendor, which they do mention in the video. So Steve Silverman and Peter Cheng, they were pretty good friends, you know, business friends basically. And I met Peter through Steve Silverman. So, you know, backpack vendor days for sure. But yeah, I've known of Peter. You know, he's been in the same hotel as us because he would be buying cards and stuff like that. And he's quite the character. Like even back then, he's quite the character. So, you know, here we are. This is about to get lit as fuck. Yeah, this is honestly going to be very unhinged because Peter is just a very unhinged person, even back then. So also there's a tournament going on tonight. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch any of that on stream, maybe the end of it, but there is a tournament going on. I'll actually post a link if you guys want the bracket for the tournament. I'll just pin this in case anybody wants to follow the tournament at all. You can go on DB. But I'm going to start the video now. We have about 66 people here, so...
You know where a procedural goes after...
I know, but I'm saying, like, I don't know where it went wrong.
Your whole field is illegal.
This is Frazier Smith. Frazier has just won a match of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the most bizarre way possible, because he barely played a single card. Rather, his opponent has just 2-0'd himself. And you might be wondering how this is possible.
But it's so
And I'm not going
basic.
to-
These moves are just like the basic moves, you know? It's so basic, and
The
it's
end
like...
result, you actually left me
I'm
with that
just
choice.
saying.
Well, the person sitting across from him is none other than Peter Cheng. Peter has just made 5 illegal moves in the span of less than 10 minutes. And
So real quick chat, is the volume for the video good? Like, is the volume good? Actually, I'll also, let me do this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to stop my music, my background music from playing, and then the volume is good. Okay, we're going to continue from here and I'll start filling in some gaps and stuff.
his current field on the board is entirely illegal. But the community wasn't surprised because this was not the first time that Peter Cheng had done this. You see, the man was previously disqualified and banned from organized play on multiple separate occasions for unsporting conduct, cheating. And
Damn,
for
Peter.
over a decade, Peter Cheng was one of the most
So that is Sean McCabe, the legend, the actual person who is responsible for inventing the Gravekeeper deck. Me and him go to the same locals. We grew up together. I met him when I was about 14 and he was about 13. His dad used to come to locals and literally stand behind him as he would duel. So when I met him, it was very intimidating, and he was one of the best players at my locals, even at the age of 13. This guy has a lot of tops. He's gone to Worlds. He is just one of the best players to ever touch Yu-Gi-Oh! One of the best deck builders as well. He also built the Card of Demise Cosmo deck in 2016 that me and him both topped with. So he is just a mastermind of Yu-Gi-Oh! But he's a very quiet player. He does not really like the spotlight at all. He does not like doing interviews or anything like that. Peter Cheng, I'll give you some context here. Peter had a huge crush on Sean McCabe. So I believe this is the finals of the first ever UDS. These two played in the finals in Philadelphia. That tournament was not advertised very well by Konami. Surprise, surprise. Konami's really bad at advertising things. The first UDS ever, the first tournament where you could earn one of those belts, they did not do a good job of advertising it. And we only had less than 60 players show up to it. They had an entire convention center booked out and only 40 something, 50 something people showed up. So it was one of the smallest tournaments ever for one of the biggest prizes ever. And I don't think that we knew at the time that the belt would give you immunity for the first 2 rounds of a tournament, like for the next 10 years or some shit. We didn't know that. So we didn't know what we were really playing for. We just thought like, oh, that belt is really cool, and who wouldn't want to win that? But yeah. So these two are playing. And yeah, Peter used to come to our hotel room. So me, Silverman, and McCabe, we would get hotels to go to events back in the 2010s, and Peter would come over to buy cards from like Silverman or whatever, or sell, buy cards, sell cards, whatever. That was his thing. He was a backpack vendor, so he would carry a backpack with a bunch of shit, and he would have a ton of cash, and he would like borderline harass McCabe. He just loved McCabe for some reason. McCabe is not gay. McCabe is straight. Always has been, as far as I know. And Peter that just didn't matter to him. Like, he would be barking up the wrong tree and honestly making McCabe a little bit uncomfortable, I would say. He would just be like, sausages, I want your sausage. Come on, McCabe, give me your sausage. And he had like this really crazy lisp. And so, yeah, he was just very eccentric and very ridiculous, like as a person. So that was something that I always remember. Like McCabe, every time Silverman was like, yo, Peter's coming over to buy cards or whatever, I feel like McCabe would just be like, oh God, they dread, like the fucking dread, bro. But yeah, so them two playing in the finals of the first ever UDS, I think is hilarious because you wouldn't be able to tell from looking at this, but yeah, Peter wanted to jump McCabe's bones.
Most well-known names on the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh scene. Not necessarily for his skill per se, rather for his antics over the years. But on this day in particular, his actions would culminate in perhaps the most legendary feature match ever, and luckily for the world, it was live streamed for thousands of viewers. Now, to understand the gravity of the situation that we just saw, we're gonna have to rewind just a little bit for context. This is a story of Peter Cheng, the most notorious Yu-Gi-Oh player of all time. Our story starts over 15 years ago in the year 2009, where Peter Cheng was an accomplished Yu-Gi-Oh player who would travel the world to attend championship-level tournaments composing of thousands of players and rare cards worth lots of money on the line. His prior success included multiple Top Cup finishes at these tournaments, but before he became a semi-big name, Peter was a dominant player in the New Jersey area, winning nearly all of the local and regional tournaments. But how could one man consistently win almost every single tournament? It was a question that many would ask, and over time, people slowly became suspicious about his style of play, and rumors began to spread, to the point where Peter would be known locally as a shady character with a history of connivery beyond the mere rules of the game. Local players would accuse Peter of stacking their decks and shuffling them in a manner that would cause them to draw the worst cards.
So I want to say this, when it comes to stacking, right? So I pride myself on being pretty good against people who like try to manipulate the deck by shuffling, and like if they're looking down when they shuffle and all that stuff, I'm very good at spotting that and then calling it out. I actually did this at LDS Raleigh on Sunday because my opponent in top 8, I feel like, was looking at my deck, and I blatantly said to him like, can you please stop looking at my deck while you shuffle? And we had a whole back and forth thing, and the judge was there. Peter, so I knew Peter, right? Like me and Peter are cool, right? He's been in my hotel several times, like I said, with me, him, Silverman, McCabe. And, we had a cool relationship. We've even gone out to dinner together. We've gone out to lunch together. Like, he's driven us to events before. Like, I remember being in a car thinking I was going to die because Peter is a fucking terrible driver, by the way. Like, an absolutely awful driver. Peter used to drive us to certain events. And, like, I just remember thinking, like, we're cool. So when we played each other in this feature match for ARG, I thought that, I knew what Peter was capable of. I knew that he was a savage, right? That was just, everybody kind of knew, right? It's one of those things like you just know this player is a savage and you pray that you never have to play against him. Well, when we played against each other, I'm thinking to myself, I don't have to worry about his antics because we're cool, right? Like, I wouldn't say that we're friends. Like, we never text each other. I don't have his phone number type thing, but we see each other enough. And you literally have been in my hotel room. You've driven me to events. We've eaten together. We've talked. Like, you have a crush on one of my best friends from McCabe. Just very, like, we've had a relationship. So in my head, I'm like, I don't have to worry about you savaging me. However, if you notice something in the feature match that we end up playing, I draw really, really fucking bad. Like, I drew unplayable both games. I drew Talkin' Tomborg, which is like the worst card to draw in my entire deck. And I also drew Archfiend Eccentric and like no other playable cards. So basically what you'll see in the feature match is that I don't do anything. Like I would have lost to him if he just played regular. Like if he didn't do all of the illegal shit, I would have just lost the game because my hands were unplayable games 1 and 2, and I watched him shuffle, and honestly, I couldn't tell what he was doing. So like one of the scariest things about Peter Cheng, and I always think about this, is somehow when you play against him, you draw really bad. But at least for me, I could not tell that he had done anything to my deck. This feature match happened in 2017. So
Same time, others suggested that he had marked his own sleeves to draw the powerful cards that he wanted. His opponents would basically agree that Peter seemed to open the perfect hands every time, with the player even saying that at one of the local stores, Peter was banned from using white sleeves because they were so easily markable. And players who knew Peter in real life would claim that he was caught cheating on 7 separate occasions. It became so widely known that even some of Peter's closest friends would not
I know him as a friend, and I know for a fact he cheats because he told me so. He usually looks at the top card of his next draw sometimes. But again, it's just a card game. I'm not going to hate someone over something so juvenile. This is a fucking crazy take, by the way. Now, this is 2009, but like, what a take to be like, it's just a card game. I'm not going to hate someone over something so juvenile. Like, bro, you realize people are paying to fly and to book hotels and spending their money, hard-earned money, and time to play in tournaments, you know, and yeah, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! At the end of the day, but still, like, if somebody is savagely cheating people, that is reason enough to hate someone. Like, if you fucking cheat me, I don't like you. Like, I flew to an event, I paid money, and you're like a cheater. That is a crazy take. I'm friends with Peter. I have no comment on his play. I just made a point to stop complaining about other players. I am cool with Cheng, and even I know he cheats. Yeah, this is just kind of the world that we lived in, especially back then in 2009. And I knew Peter at this time. Like, I knew of Peter in 2009. In fact, when I won a YCS, Peter is the person who bought my prize cards. He bought the Dark Fairies from me. I had an ultra rare playset of the Asmodeus and all that, so Siberia or whatever it's called. Peter is the person who actually bought my prize cards. So just so you guys know how far back me and Peter go, he bought my prize cards because he was a backpack vendor and he had a lot of money, and I was a broke college kid. So yeah.
refute this claim. But in light of this, he was never punished officially by the Yu-Gi-Oh! Organized Play Committee, as his hijinks were limited to his local area at the time. Nevertheless, it got to the point where Peter was disqualified from numerous local and regional tournaments, and eventually banned from several local stores. Coincidentally, as Peter's success flourished, he grew bored of the Jersey scene. I mean, yeah, being banned from several local stores probably didn't help. So he began to travel around the country to attend tournaments on the major circuit. So we're talking about the largest tournaments in the world here. This would prove to be extremely rewarding, for his skills were more than enough to compete on a national level. Peter would quickly make a name for himself, going undefeated at multiple events in a row and threatening even the strongest players at the time, upsetting legendary.
What is Corin's record? Cheng destroyed him in round 3. Yeah, I mean, Peter was just a different level. I know there are a lot of, cheaters and everything in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. You guys know who they are. They're kind of showing. But there's a lot of, players who have some unsavory stories about them in the game. And I think Peter just trumps every single one of them. Like, I do not think any of them are on the level of Peter. I don't, because the thing is about everyone else, people could like point to some of the things that the other cheaters have done in the past. Whereas with Peter, it was kind of like a lot of different things happening. Like, you would draw bad, he would draw well, but then also like he would do things that are not legal, but you don't catch it, which is the case with me. Like, not only did I draw really unplayable both games, I still don't even know if that, like, that could just be completely happenstance, right? That could have been something that was going to happen no matter what. Obviously decks can brick, but it is weird that pretty much everyone who plays him has this memory of like, yeah, I just drew unplayable and he also drew really fucking nice, and on top of that he does things that are just like illegal on top of it. So it's so many things you have to watch out for. It makes you very uncomfortable to play against him. I hated it. Like, I hate the idea that I have to watch him, I have to watch my own shit, and then I have to like try to make sure that his plays, his technical play, is legal. And so it's just a lot of things going on mentally. You can't even really focus on the game itself. Like, you just want to play the game, but you're so scared that he's going to take a card from the graveyard, which is something I heard he used to do. Like, he would spread his graveyard in Lightsworn, and people would be like, yeah, he would just like take a JD out the graveyard, and if he got called out, he would just put it back. Like, just put it back. So all types of wild shit, bro.
Names like Adam Korn and Jeff Jones. At the same time, he would supplement his travel expenses as a backpack vendor, someone who carried around binders chock full of cards to buy low and resell at a higher price. Though it was technically, and still is, against the rules to buy and sell with anyone besides the official vendors in the convention hall, back then it was an unspoken taboo where basically everyone would secretly try to buy and sell with each other. Now, I know what you're thinking. You probably thought that Peter was a delightful businessman to trade and buy with.
Got something that might interest you.
Unsurprisingly, Peter was known to be extremely hard to deal with, often charging well over the market prices.
So yeah, we can all agree Peter Cheng is shady. At the Stratford, Connecticut Regional, he traded a Fortress Dragon and maybe a Caius for my friend's secret Dark Arm. I have no idea how it happened. He pulled some Asian powers on my friend's brain. Okay, then he goes to my locals. Okay, then he does go to my locals. I've tried trading with the kid and he is mad annoying, like he's on speed or something. Tried to rip me off too, and I was like, please buddy, nobody knows card values. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to say the rest of that, but
especially if he knew that the buyer was in a desperate position. And according to a tournament report, one man who was the unfortunate victim of Peter's business practices had said, when we got to the event, I had to ship $30 for sanctums, ignitions, etc., and got savaged by Peter Cheng for like $20. Sucks to suck. You can imagine my dismay when my teammate Dylan showed up later with a binder full of artifact cards. Except that the other vendors were sold out of the cards, so the man had no choice but to approach Peter. And since Peter knew that the man needed the card for the tournament and round one was about to start, he upcharged him. Others would say that Peter would lowball them when buying their cards online. But
so I want to say this, right? Like, so he's right now, Squiddy is talking about, you know, Peter's business practices with buying and selling cards. Honestly, that part I don't really care about because one, vendors can charge whatever they want and you can sell your cards for however much you want. It is your responsibility as a person just to obviously, like, if somebody's lowballing you, to not accept. Now, if he's savaging children, then I have a problem with that because children genuinely don't know the value of certain things. So if a kid packs a Dark Arm Dragon secret rare from Phantom Darkness and Peter goes over to the kid and is like, hey, I will give you a Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus for the Dark Arm Dragon, that is shady. But if we're talking about adults dealing with adults, I don't really care that like people sold him cards and he charged them extra or whatever. That's neither here nor there. Like, whatever, people pay whatever they're going to pay for Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So this is just like, I guess, trying to add to like the pylon or whatever, but I don't think that this part is really relevant to the whole thing.
At the end of the day, though perhaps immoral, none of what he was doing was technically illegal.
Right, exactly. Like, this is not illegal to like overcharge people for cards that they need at an event. Also, if you show up to a YCS or Nationals the day before the tournament and you need a card that is already a sought after card, be prepared to pay a little extra because that's just how it's always going to be. Supply and demand. I remember when Dark Strike Fighter in 2009, which is relevant to this time period that we're talking about, in 2009, Dark Strike Fighter at Nationals was $100. I was there. I had my Dark Strike Fighters like any sane person attending Nationals. But if you did not have Dark Strike Fighter, they were literally being charged $99 by all the vendors, and people on the floor were doing the same thing, basically charging you like $90, telling you that you get a deal because the vendors are charging $100, and I'll knock off $10. But yeah, it's just like, exactly, it's capitalism. This is just something that happens, right? Like, there's nothing special about Peter overcharging people that everyone else doesn't still do to this day when the circumstances present themselves.
On buying and selling at the venue. The bottom line is Peter needed more money to be able to constantly attend these majors because they were always held in a different city across the United States, and travel and accommodation can be pretty expensive. As his play continued, Peter...
So Squiddy's point about Peter needed this money to like travel to tournaments. I also want to be clear about something else too. Peter had a lot of money. Peter was one of the richest Yu-Gi-Oh players to play the game when it, like, he was one of the first backpack vendors. He also understood that buy a thing for $1, sell it for $2, and you make a shit ton of money if you do that thousands of times. So even if you're only making, like, his margins sometimes would be really low, but his volume was unmatched in 2010, 2011, 2012. No one was really doing it like him on the East Coast where we lived at, which is like Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, like all those areas. Peter was just like, everyone knew that he would buy and sell cards, and he would buy a lot of them and sell a lot of them. So even if he's buying a thing for $1 and selling it for $2, yes, he's only making $1, but he would do that 10,000 times. Peter drove a BMW. He lived in a really nice area and everything. Like, he just had money. Like, so money, like, obviously the way he made money was by buying and selling cards, but he didn't need to, like, he wasn't in any desperate need to like, oh, I need to sell these cards for maximum profit so that I could support myself going to events. That was not actually on his like priority list. So I want to like clear up that narrative. That's not really a thing. He had an abundance of money. When I was younger, Peter was like, I don't know how old he is. I don't know what our age gap was, but I was in college and he was already like doing the backpack vendor thing. I just remember him having hundreds of thousands of dollars already when we were younger. Like, he just had money. So that that was never an issue.
Quickly cemented himself as one of the best Lightsworn players in the world. A strategy reliant on self-milling, it would trigger powerful effects in the graveyard to flood the field with monsters. The deck's signature boss, the Judgment Dragon, could only summon itself when 4 different Lightsworn names were in the graveyard, with its Day of Judgment ability wiping out all other cards on the field. But Peter's opponents complained that he always had the perfect mills, consistently hitting 4 names as early as the second turn, and constantly milling multiple copies of Wolf Lightsworn Beast, one of the deck's powerful methods to swing the game in favor, for it was essentially a free 2100 beater who brought itself back to the field. Though the deck could be pretty inconsistent due to the RNG factor associated with milling, in the hands of Peter Cheng, the deck always seemed to perform exactly as he wanted it to. And with his devotion to the light, Peter would finish top 4 at Shonen Jump Championship Orlando and top 16 at Shonen Jump Championship Columbus. With his name now commonplace among the elite, everyone would agree that Peter was no doubt a skilled player. But while his accomplishments grew, so did an aspect of uncertainty surrounding his gameplay, which had now transcended his local community and became known to the world. Online chatter was abuzz on the popular forums at the time. One player would note, Peter Cheng has swept multiple events with Lightsworn. It's statistically impossible to go
This is crazy. Peter's head on Lumina is insane.
8+ rounds and not lose multiple times. Factor in Lightsworn's inconsistencies, and you've got someone who is obviously defying the system in some way here. To further my claim, he's been asked to change his sleeves during multiple regionals due to marked sleeves. In 3, he's been DQ'd in the top 8.
So Robert asked, didn't he come from a very wealthy family anyways, or am I just misinformed? I actually don't know if his family already had money, and that could be the case. I just remember him driving a really nice BMW in 2010, and like it was fully paid off, and he just had like really nice things. Now he didn't really buy, like he wasn't into like crazy expensive designer clothing or anything like that. But if you knew Peter, like we knew Peter, because I lived in the tri-state area of like, you know, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, that area, and he's from New Jersey, so he lived probably like less than an hour away from me. You knew that Peter just had money. Like again, Peter did not need for money. I don't know if it came from his parents, but I do know that he was a crazy businessman when it came to buying and selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
8 of regionals before. His reputation would rapidly become known, with a chunk of the community calling him Cheater Chang, while others use the comedic spoonerism Cheater Pang. With each consecutive tournament that Peter attended, the forums would be abuzz with users following along for updates and potential drama. And boy, would there be drama. At the Shonen Jump Championship in Los Angeles, where after starting with a phenomenal 8-2 record and nearly locking himself into the top cut yet again with Lightsworn, Peter would suddenly be disqualified mid-round. Not explicitly for cheating, but rather for lying to a judge. You see, in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh!, infractions generally start with warnings. This is to give the player the benefit of the doubt for a genuine mistake, but also to ensure that players don't try to soft cheat by deliberately performing illegal plays or breaking policy to try and gain advantage. Therefore, multiple warnings or infractions would escalate into steeper punishment, with 2 warnings often granting the player a game loss. Now, apparently Peter had already received an infraction earlier in the tournament for having a marked sleeve in his side deck. But later, when he was deck checked again in the tournament, that same sleeve in question was still present. Peter allegedly told the new judge that he had no prior warnings in an attempt to avoid receiving the upgraded penalty. But unfortunately for Peter, his statement would be fact-checked with the head judge, resulting in immediate disqualification for his dishonesty. Word of this quickly spread online like wildfire.
So I'm playing Peter Chang. He seems like a cool guy, but kinda whatever. He is known for cheating. Game 1, I bust. Why do people write like this? First turn, but I hear drawing back and in going into double JD is pretty good. Game 2, I go first, but he draws Crow. I try to come back with creator plays, but he drops Kaiku. He side decks out 3 Honest, Lila, and Illumina into 3 Crows and a Kaiku. What the fuck? So I'm X1, I want to drop, but I hear Chang is pretty good, so I'm like, yay, good tiebreakers.
The infamous Peter Chang was finally disqualified from a major event. Now, a pro player being disqualified from a tournament in the championship tier was already a rare occurrence. But factoring in Peter's scandalous background and everyone on the internet waiting for exactly this to happen, it certainly spilled the tea. Forums would reach peak traffic, with many flocking interesting to hear the story and also to share their own personal anecdotes about Peter's gameplay. Now, you would think this is the end of the line for any regular Yu-Gi-Oh player, but unfortunately, Peter was not a regular player. In fact, this was only the beginning because such an act of humiliation would only fuel Peter's revenge, igniting his thirst for redemption because he was so close to winning his first championship, and now he wanted to prove himself more than ever. Miraculously for Peter, luck would be on his side, for he would avoid any immediate punishment beyond disqualification from the event. Apparently, not even a disqualification from a major tournament would put a damper in Peter's shenanigans, because at the Shonen Jump Championships in Edison the following month, yes, during the well-known Edison format, Peter would be caught trying to add a card that was removed from the game back to his hand.
This is what
in the championship tier.
This is what I was talking about with the like he would just grab stuff out the graveyard, or I guess the banish pile.
Well-known Edison format, Peter would be caught trying to add a card that was removed from the game back to his hand. But the judges simply gave him a game loss penalty instead of a disqualification because they didn't actually see it happen, and Peter argued that it was an accident. No surprises here. But just 4 months later, to the chagrin of the entire community, Peter Cheng would pull off the unthinkable. It's May 16th, 2010. Peter Cheng has defied all expectations and once again made the top 16 of a championship. But it would only get better for him as he breezes through the top 8 and then the top 4. At long last...
Yeah, I don't know how that's an accident either. Honestly, like if somebody has something banished and it ends up in their hand, I'm sorry, but like that is not even close to an accident. Like I don't even know... It would have to be one of those things like, oh, wait, this is supposed to be banished, and then you put it back. But for you to have to call him out and be like, yo, where's the Caius that was banished? And it's like, oh shit, it's in my hand. Like, that's crazy. Like, how is that an accident? I don't know how that would ever be perceived as an accident.
Landing himself in the championship final. And the crowd can't believe it. If Peter Cheng wins, I'm learning how to cheat, says one poster online. And finally, when the smoke cleared, a man raises a trophy with one hand and clutches 3 elusive prize cards in the other. After years of grinding, Peter Cheng has finally achieved a championship title by winning the Yu-Gi-Oh! Championships.
I want you guys to understand how ridiculous it is that he won with Machina Gadgets. So consider the format. This is after Edison. This is technically Frog OTK format, but it is the first ever YCS, literally ever. It's in Virginia. I was there. I actually got like 35th place. I was playing Infernity, I'm pretty sure. This is when X Saber Dark Soul comes out. This is when Ronin Totem comes out. This is when Infernities really get their power boost with barrier and stuff like that. Launcher. His deck wasn't good. Like Machina Gadgets were not good at all. Like not even a little bit at this time. Now, here's the thing about Frog OTK that you have to understand. In the US, we did not know that Frog OTK was a deck at this event. So people, there were rumblings about it, but no one took it seriously because we just assumed that it was kind of inconsistent or something was wrong with it. People didn't look at the Frog cards the way they look at them in hindsight. Like now, obviously, if you went back to this YCS, the first ever YCS in May 2010, which is after Edison, you would have known that like, oh, if I just put Ronin Totem in a Frog deck, it makes it literally the best deck in the entire game up to this point. Like there's no deck in the game's history better than that deck up to this point. So it's just like a ridiculous deck, but people didn't know that. But people did know about X-Sabers. People did know about Infernities, and a lot of the other powerful decks. I think the deck that got second was Stephen Harris playing Infernity. Infernity was ridiculous. They had 3 barriers. You know, they could just combo off and search the barriers and all that. But Machina Gadgets were trash. Just the deck was bad. So for him to get all the way to the finals with Machina Gadgets, like we already knew that he was doing something, but again with Peter, you just didn't know exactly what that something was. Like you knew something was going on, you just didn't really know what it was.
Series Washington. And not just any regular championship tournament, but the first ever Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series, a prestigious tournament that would replace the previous Shonen Jump Championships, featuring a set of new and elusive ultra-rare prize cards, the 3 Dark Lords. Dark Lord Superbia, Dark Lord Asmodeus, and Dark Lord Ida Are.
So these are the exact same prize cards that I won after winning YCS Atlanta, and Peter bought them from me. So just kind of crazy how full circle, you know, he wins a playset and then I win a playset. I sell them to him because he's the biggest backpack vendor that I knew at the time. I didn't know how to get rid of, you know, I was like, really, I didn't know how to get rid of prize cards. Like that's just something I knew. I had thousands of dollars in my hands, but I didn't know like, how do you move this? Right. So I obviously went to my friends like Silverman. Silverman was like, oh, sell them to Peter. Peter will buy them for sure. And that's how we ended up there.
and they now belong to Peter. But instead of celebrations and congratulations, the community was largely skeptical, beyond just the mere fact that it was Peter Cheng. You see, at this event, Peter pulled off a complete upset. He played a Machina Gadget deck utilizing the Jinzo engine, but it wasn't exactly the most competitive deck. In fact, it was regarded as a significantly weaker deck that paled in power compared to the existing X-Saber and the newly released Infernity decks that were expected to dominate. His strategy was rather simple. The Gadget monsters replaced themselves for free card advantage and fueled the Machina Fortress, who could be summoned by discarding another machine from the hand. Next, the Jinzo engine would supplement this, providing the only means of power for the deck to match the pace of the newer strategy.
Like, guys, this deck was fucking terrible. I want to be clear. This deck is barely playable in regular Edison right now. This is a full set after Edison format that power crept the game. Like, for him to be playing Machina Gadgets, a deck that, again, barely playable in Edison, right? Like, we already know currently, but to imagine playing it after you get Dark Soul, Infernity Barrier, Rodent Totem, and all the other things that came out of the next set, the Shining Darkness. The fact that he was playing this, like Squiddy said, this deck wasn't considered good, and it genuinely isn't good. Like, if we went back and played this format, you'd be like, what is this? Like how did he win? It would just never make sense that he won a YCS or anything with this deck.
Who had nearly outdated it completely. It would enable him to play Future Fusion, one of the strongest cards ever printed, that years later would even have its effect nerfed. But at the time, it allowed him to fusion summon by using resources directly from the deck instead of his hand and field, breaking the game mechanic completely. The monster wouldn't be summoned until the following turn, but that didn't matter because resolving a Future Fusion would allow Peter to dump all of his machine monsters
Bro,
to
one
the
with a gadget structure
if he
deck.
declared a summon of the Chimera Tech Overdragon.
How much did I sell the Ultra Prize cards for?
Dragon
I think I sold my prize cards for like 2K or something. Like, it wasn't a lot. I mean, it was a lot at the time. I mean, if you think about $2,000 in 2010 compared to 2026, that's probably the equivalent of like $3,800 now. But also, again, remember, I am a college student at this time. I am a broke college student at this time, so I didn't understand the value of, like, nor did anyone. First of all, like, people sell their prize cards for cheap all the time, but yeah, it was less than $3,000. I know that for sure. It wasn't anything crazy. Like, now ultra rare prize cards from that era go for like $20,000, $30,000, shit like that. But we just didn't know. We just didn't know at the time that Yu-Gi-Oh would become like it is now, where if you have like a crush card is like, I don't know, $100,000 or some shit, $50,000. What is ultra rare crush card worth now? At the time, crush card was maybe 5K. Now it's like 10x that. So, you know, during the pandemic 2020, cards shot up in every card game. Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic. If you had the old cards and you had them through 2020, when inflation happened to all trading card games, then you basically made out like a bandit. But I always tell people the biggest mistake that everyone made who ever owned Yu-Gi-Oh cards is that we ever sold them before the pandemic. If you ever sold a single Yu-Gi-Oh card before the pandemic, technically it was a mistake. And most people have sold Yu-Gi-Oh cards before the pandemic because everything went up so much during that time.
And any number of machines as fusion material. This also meant he could dump 2 copies of Jinzo and 2 copies of Jinzo Returner from the deck to the graveyard. The baby Jinzos would then trigger, immediately reviving the 2 adult Jinzos, whose effects instantly kick in to negate all trap cards on the field, while presenting 4,800 damage on the board at the same time. From there, he could revive the Machina Fortresses from the graveyard that were also dumped there via Future Fusion, thanks to their special summoning conditions to deal well over 8,000 damage in one single turn, and without any fear of staple disruptions like Mirror Force or Torrential Tribute. But the rest of the deck just wasn't very consistent and lacked significant combos beyond Future Fusion, which was also limited to 1 copy per deck at the time due to rampant abuse in the past. It was basically the deck's only unfair advantage, so to speak. In addition to the deck being pretty slow, it was also full of bad cards to draw, like Jinzo, which you would be less than ecstatic to
His
see
deck was
in your
so
opening
bad,
hand,
bro.
or required a sacrifice to summon. Even the gadget monsters were much weaker than the other monsters on the block, and he would have to power them up using support cards like Solidarity while relying on trap cards to control the game at his pace. So needless to say that getting carried by 1 card to winning a 1,000-person tournament was pretty OP. Which brings us to the conundrum. Peter would have to hard draw the Future Fusion because it wasn't searchable, unless your name is Peter Cheng. Because after his win, even more rumors exploded online, with some players at the event claiming that instead of drawing Future Fusion, Peter would search for
Peter Cheng, first YCS champion, was banned under KDE for years. Activate red gadget targeting whatever color it searches. Can't remember. I think it searches yellow. Add heavy storm / future fusion / whatever you want. Reveal the gadget you already had in your hand. This is why search cards are shown to the opponent before adding them. So basically, people would say that Peter's main thing that he would do is if he didn't have future fusion in his hand, if he had any two gadgets, essentially what he would do is he would have, let's say, red gadget and yellow gadget in his hand, and red searches yellow. So he would go summon red gadget, and since he already has yellow gadget, he would just add any fucking card he wanted to his hand. Literally, he would just add future fusion, heavy storm, whatever he wanted, he could just add it to his hand in that situation. And then when you say, and then he wouldn't show it to you, like add it to his hand, like put it in his hand. And then when you're like, what did you search? Or like, show me the fucking gadget. He would show you the gadget, but that's not what he searched. So it's kind of like, well, that's ridiculous, right? So basically the criteria for this is that he just has two gadgets in his hand of different colors. That's really all that he needed to do this. And obviously gadgets are the best deck at having high searchability. And if you ever draw more than one of a gadget, like if you draw two gadgets, two different color gadgets, you can always do this. So that was the scary thing about it, is that technically he would show you the card that the gadget does search, but he did not search that. Like he searched something else and just didn't show it to you. And then when you ask, he shows you the proper gadget. And you're like, I don't feel like that's the card you just added, but okay.
It from his deck and add it directly to his hand when resolving the effects of his gadgets. Since the gadgets could add each other, rather than add the corresponding gadget and reveal it to his
also, I want to point this out.
Gadgets. Since the gadgets,
so like I talk about this a lot when I do gadget videos and stuff like that. Actually, tomorrow's video is going to be me featuring red gadget. So the timing of all of this is hilarious, that I'm actually doing a gadget video that comes out tomorrow. Divine timing. But if you look in the background of the gadgets, they tell you what color they search. So if you see this is green gadget, and in the background it searches red because you see red gears. And if you look at red gadget in the background, there are yellow gears. So this one searches yellow. So if you ever want to know how to just quickly tell what gadget each of them searches, just look at the gears in the background. So if Peter draws green and red, he would just go, okay, I already have red gadget. So summon green gadget, search future fusion or heavy storm. And then when you say, what did you search? He would just show you the gadget that he already had in his hand. I hope that makes sense.
Could add each other, rather than add the corresponding gadget and reveal it to his opponent as per the game policy. The story goes that Peter would add the future fusion from the deck to his hand face down by accident, say oopsies to the opponent, and then reveal a copy of another gadget that was already in his hand, telling them that that was a card he had searched. Other players would share similar anecdotes of sleight of hand when playing against Peter. Some accused him of deliberately testing illegal plays to see what he could get away with, and allegations of stacking while shuffling and using marked sleeves were again at the forefront.
So I think that is probably his biggest form of just cheating, essentially, is stretching the band-aid, or stretching the rubber band to see how far it can stretch. He would just try things. Like he would play you and just try things out, and it was up to you to catch them. Like that is basically the way he played you.
Players even surmised that Peter may have been taking advantage of a ruling loophole. Though this was never explicitly proven, they would say that Peter may have utilized the effect of Baby Jinzo when it was sent to the graveyard for cost. You probably know by now, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Is an extremely complex game where card effects are taken extremely literally down to the exact word. And Jinzo Returner reads that when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Jinzo from your graveyard. The keyword being when, which in Yu-Gi-Oh! Terms means that it can only be triggered at the exact time that the card is sent to the graveyard. For example, when sent there via Future Fusion or a card like Foolish Burial. Being sent to the graveyard is the last thing that has to happen in order for the effect to meet its activation timing. But in Yu-Gi-Oh!, costs take place before a card or a summon resolves. So if Jinzo Returner is sent to the graveyard to pay for the cost of a card, for example, being tributed for a tribute summon, then the last thing to happen is a tribute summon itself and not Jinzo Returner being sent to the graveyard. So the game would automatically skip the trigger timing and the player would be unable to activate the effect. And this is the exact ruling if Jinzo Returner is sent from the hand to the graveyard to fulfill the summoning cost for Machina Fortress. It wouldn't be able to activate because Machina Fortress's summon takes place immediately after the cost, therefore stiffing the activation timing of the Baby Jinzo. This being said, some players online would claim that Peter may have abused this throughout his tournament run. Since this was an obscure ruling,
yeah, so I know for a fact this is the type of thing that Peter would do. He would special summon Fortress, discarding a Jinzo Returner, and try to summon Jinzo, and it was up to you to call him out. And if you were one of his opponents that just didn't realize it or didn't understand how that worked, because not everyone understands some of these weird, obscure Yu-Gi-Oh rulings, like, oh, it was sent for an effect, not a cost, or a cost, not an effect. If you didn't understand those things, like if you summon Greffer and pitch Jinzo Returner from your hand, and you send Jinzo to the graveyard, Peter would try to summon Jinzo back, but that's not how that works. You can't pitch Jinzo Returner for cost and send Jinzo from your deck to the grave and be like, activate Jinzo Returner, but he would try that. So he would do that with Fortress. Is like, I'm going to try this, and if it works, then guess what? You just got cheated. And if it doesn't work, then he would just continue to play the game as is, which is crazy.
That wasn't immediately obvious when reading the card at face value. It's possible that not every player would have known the implications. In the worst case scenario, with Peter taking a warning from the judge, if the opponent even bothered to call a judge in the first place. Surprisingly, most Yu-Gi-Oh players are a lot more chill and reserved when it comes to calling judges compared to other trading card games that are out there.
You're kidding! Judge.
Now, the R&D team would later patch this loophole by rewording optional when effects to if instead, therefore allowing future cards to activate even when sent to the graveyard by cost in order to avoid abuse and confusion. But despite the rumors, no one could explicitly validate the claims against Peter. While most of the community completely disregarded Machina Gadgets as a viable contender because it was Peter Cheng that won with them, there were a few voices that weren't fully convinced that Peter had cheated because there wasn't any hard evidence of it. I mean, in hindsight, it does seem a little ridiculous that Peter's opponents would be okay with him searching his deck for a card face down, adding it to his hand, shuffling his hand, and then showing them a random card from their hand that was a gadget. Especially at a competitive championship rules enforcement level, because in Yu-Gi-Oh, any card that's searched from the deck to the hand has to be revealed to the opponent. Now, perhaps Peter may have used other sleight of hand to make this possible, but it's more than likely that this was just a meme that snowballed and spiraled out of control online because of Peter's history of making illegal plays. But on the other hand,
yeah, no, I don't think that it was a meme. I do not think that, as someone who's been in a room with Peter, played against Peter, I do not think that it was just, you know, hearsay that he was doing all types of wild shit. I just want to say, I mean, literally in the same video, Squiddy quotes that Peter accidentally added a banished card to his hand. Also, this is something that people don't know about Peter. He was a notorious gambler. He loved casinos, and that's where he spent a lot of his time. The guy would just be in a casino all the fucking time. He loved gambling. One of his absolute favorite activities outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! So when it comes to handling cards in general, Peter is better than 99.9% of every Yu-Gi-Oh! Player who's ever touched a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. His handling is outrageous. If you ever see him play, just the way he spreads his graveyard and how quick he can like he could spread his graveyard and then close it, and then a card will not be there anymore. Like it was wild. Like Peter is just a different level. This is what I mean when I say I think that he might be the most prolific out of all of the cheaters in the game's history. I do not think that anyone is on his level, to be honest.
And to add some more suspicions, it was also the first major tournament after the release of the Shining Darkness, a powerful set that forever changed the landscape of the game. It would bring power creep to an entirely new level that was never witnessed before, with the support for X-Saber and the highly anticipated release of Infernity, a deck that defied any prior sense of Yu-Gi-Oh! Logic. Previously, gaining card advantage and resources required setup, often taking multiple turns and being earned as payoffs through difficult means. But the Infernity deck was highly explosive and could overwhelm the field with near endless resources out of nowhere, granting the user the ability to set up a near unbreakable end board or just attack and win in one single turn. The deck's gimmick relied on the user having no cards in their hand, and once the requirement was met, all of the effects became live. Their signature card, the Infernity Archfiend, could search the deck for any Infernity card when it was special summoned. Infernity Necromancer would then revive the Infernity Archfiend, and 3 copies of Infernity Launcher could revive both Archfiend and Necromancer, creating a mini loop as Archfiend would then search for another copy of Infernity Launcher to reborn over and over again. Built-in tuner monsters allowed the deck to summon a plethora of synchro monsters like the Mistworm to spin back the opponent's field, while Infernity Break could disrupt the opponent's cards. As if this wasn't enough, they also released a TCG exclusive card in the form of Infernity Barrier. This was an in-archetype Solemn Judgment that could negate any opposing card, making the deck complete overkill. X-Saber, on the other hand, was already an existing powerful deck in the metagame. Double X-Saber Golems could easily loop the opponent's hand for multiple cards. Cold Wave and Trap Stun could lock the opponent from using traps, while Double X-Saber Hyunlei could then destroy up to 3 of them. Their ace main deck monster, the Rescue Cat, could swarm the field and even enable crazy degenerate turn 1 combos. But the Shining Darkness would introduce another TCG exclusive, this time for the X-Sabers as Double X-Saber Dark Soul, who allowed the player to search for an X-Saber monster during the end phase of the turn that it was sent to the graveyard. The exact card that the deck lacked for follow-up and resource management, because now we had a body that we could synchro away while getting a search in the end phase. The other TCG exclusive, Double X-Saber Bogart Knight, allowed the player to special summon another X-Saber monster from their hand, easily placing 2 bodies onto the field to enable Double X-Saber Fall Troll. There was just one problem. A search is not exactly the term I should use for Double X-Saber Dark Soul's effect. You see, this was the first card that was worded in such a way where the search would be delayed, causing uncertainty about how it would work. Previously, cards like Sangan would trigger immediately when they were sent from the field to the graveyard, and we didn't have any precedent for something that would search in the end phase. Therefore, it was left to the judge's interpretation, and they would rule that Dark Soul triggered immediately when he was sent from field to the graveyard, meaning that the same copy—
It's funny you say that, Blessed Bacon, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this section of the video is kind of random because it's focusing really hard on X-Sabers, and I'm not really sure the relevance of this to Peter Cheng, honestly, but I'm just watching it kind of like, okay, why? Like, why is— I don't think Peter even played X-Sabers.
Of Dark Soul could be resurrected and sent there yet again, accumulating multiple searches off of one single copy. Though this would later be overruled years later, at the time it would push X-Sabers to even greater heights than ever imaginable. And armed with heavy graveyard disruption like the DD Crow and the anti-Dark Floodgate, Consecrated Light, the deck could go toe-to-toe with Infernity, resulting in a stalemate of power, with 7 X-Saber and 7 Infernity decks both making the top 32 cut of the tournament. So you can probably see why it was borderline impossible for Machina Gadgets, a deck that had received 0 new support from this game-breaking brand new set, to defeat multiple X-Saber and multiple Infernity decks across 15 rounds to win this tournament. And in the finals of this event, 7 judges were watching the match from every possible angle to ensure that Peter Cheng did not pull any shenanigans. I'm not even joking. This was actually what happened. Yeah.
So that doesn't matter. Even in the feature match where Peter, and we're going to get to that, where Peter cheats me, there are judges watching, and there are a lot of judges watching Peter often, and it does not stop him. And also, guys, I'm sure you know this, but even modern YCSs right now, the stream will catch cheats or illegal plays all the time, and there will be judges watching the match. Like, you guys will watch a modern Yu-Gi-Oh live stream in 2025, 2024, 2023, 2022, and you will see a bunch of judges standing around during a top 32, top 16, top 8, top 4 match, and something will happen that's an illegal play. And the stream will catch it, but the judges, the many judges who are watching it, they just won't. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's like a brain fog that goes on when people are like watching a feature match and they're supposed to be judging it, but for whatever reason, it's very rare for a judge to actually step in and catch a cheat when they are blatantly watching a match. I don't know why that is, but it's always been a thing. Like, the 7 judges who are watching Peter Cheng, if he wanted to do something, I promise you, for whatever reason, I highly doubt that they would actually catch it. Like, I just don't think that they would catch it, because they don't catch it now. Judges don't catch shit now. No offense, but like a lot of judges who just watch feature matches, you guys know this to be true. There will be things that happen all the time and they just don't catch it. And I don't know why that is. It's just always been like that.
They really wanted to cover their bases. And with the pressure on, he would defeat YPFL Stephen Harris, an Infernity player who, interestingly enough, Peter knew was not playing the Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. Fortress Dragon was a direct counter to any machine deck, for it was a unique fusion monster that could be made without polymerization. Rather, the card introduced the concept of contact fusion, allowing the user to simply send away the fusion materials from the field to the graveyard, as long as they were all present on the field. It was specifically printed as a countermeasure to the advent of powerful machine decks that had plagued the game over the past couple of years. And its fusion materials would require Cyber Dragon plus any number of machine monsters from either side of the field. This meant that a regular player could even utilize Peter's own Cyber Dragon, alongside his other machine monsters, to wipe his entire board on a whim. But at the very last minute before submitting his deck list, Harris decided to play an additional Synchro monster over Chimera Tech, theorizing that nobody would be crazy enough to play Machina Gadgets at this event. event. But evidently, Peter was crazy enough. This meant that he was able to keep his Cyber Dragon on the field without any fear of his machines being wiped away by one single fusion summon, adding additional pressure to his board, ultimately contributing to his victory alongside the fact that Harris somehow drew the worst possible hands. The forums went absolutely crazy. Peter Cheng, who everyone thought to be an egregious cheater, had won a championship event, and with the last deck anyone would have possibly imagined. Players had already begun buying out X-Saber and Infernity cards overnight with the expectation that one of these two decks would easily sweep the event. But they were wrong. He had to have cheated, said the community, who completely dismissed Peter's victory with such an unconventional strategy. But outside of the allegations of potential misconduct, many players also brought forward anecdotes about Peter's overall character, with some claiming that he was highly egoistical and erratic, often rushing his opponents into making misplays, angle shooting, or carelessly grabbing their cards without permission. Others even hated his voice. It seemed like everyone had a reason to
Peter's voice, whew, nails on a chalkboard.
Like the man, even more so now that he held a championship title. But regardless of whether or not Peter cheated, the general consensus seemed to agree that he was highly annoying to play against. In a Reddit thread titled, "What's the worst player you ever dueled?" on the r/Yu-Gi-Oh subreddit, a hefty amount of replies were about Peter Cheng. It seemed that a lot of players on the competitive circuit had witnessed his shenanigans at one point or another. With the spotlight illuminating his elevated notoriety, players began to complain about his apparent invulnerability. It seemed that no matter what penalties or disqualifications Peter received, he would receive no further suspensions. "I don't cheat, it's just I'm good and you're not," he would proclaim online. But some players decided to take matters into their own hands. You see, at a regional tournament just a week after his championship win, Peter would get jumped by a group of rare hunters trying to steal the coveted prize cards that he had brought with him to show off. But luckily for him, he would narrowly avoid disaster. And if you didn't believe that Yu-Gi-Oh could be serious business, well, now you know. As a result, Peter would take a low profile over the next couple of weeks, but quickly found himself back into the swing of things to test for the upcoming National Championship, the largest tournament of the year that would qualify a handful of players for the prestigious World Championship. But only 2 months later, things would finally devolve for this devoted duelist. In the year of 2010, Peter would attend the Yu-Gi-Oh! National Championship, and inside of the convention hall during check-in on Friday, he would sit down at a table with friends to work on their deck list and collectively theorize what the best tech cards would be. But as they lost themselves in the conversation, a judge suddenly tapped Peter on the shoulder, and at that moment, he would inform Peter that he was banned from organized play, effective immediately. Apparently as a further consequence of his original disqualification from Shonen Jump Los Angeles earlier that year, but also as an additional penalty in regards to another disqualification from a regional tournament that took place at some point between his championship victory and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals. But the rules committee would have to confer with their higher-ups to determine whether or not a suspension was warranted. And though it took some time, they had finally come to the green light to ban Peter Cheng from organized play. After being caught on multiple different occasions with suspicious shuffling, conspicuous
no, I was not there for that one. So I didn't go to Nationals in 2010 because I believe that that's the one X-Sabers won, Sean Montague, right? And it was in like Minneapolis or somewhere like that, Michigan. I don't know. It was in some place I feel like that starts with an M. And I, at the time, again, broke college kid, I had not won a YCS yet. So I really didn't have like the money to fly across the country or whatever and play at Nationals. So yeah, I did not go to the 2010 Nationals, but I believe this is when X-Sabers won in the hands of Sean Montague. Now, I did know about Peter's infractions because, again, Peter was somebody who I would see at regionals in Philly because he lived in Jersey. I would see him in my hotel room selling cards to Silverman or buying cards from Silverman or whatever. And so I knew that like he had got DQ'd. I knew that he had gotten all types of, I knew he almost got jumped or did get jumped, but like they didn't actually get everything. Yeah, just a wild time. The fact that he got banned at Nationals for doing something months beforehand, and then he won a YCS in between that infraction and them banning him, right? So he gets banned later in the year at Nationals, which is like, you know, mid-year. Nationals is always mid-year. For something he did basically in the beginning of the year. And in between that, he wins a YCS. Like, it just, ridiculous, right? Like that is
performing illegal plays and numerous penalties and multiple disqualifications, Peter's guardian angel had done all it could, and the consequences had finally caught up to him. And at that very moment, Peter would be forced to leave not only the venue, but also the game itself for the next few years. Understandably, he was completely crushed. This was a devastating blow to a large part of his life that he devoted so much time and effort to. But if there's at least one takeaway from the story so far, we know that Peter was extremely determined, and even a forceful setback like this would not stop him. 5 years later, Peter Cheng would return with an even greater vengeance. By now, the game was a lot more popular.
I just want to say this too. When Peter was banned, that did not stop him from going to events. Peter was very often in the lobby of the hotel. So you know how every YCS has a popular hotel the night before, right? So like the Thursday and Friday night before a major tournament, there will be like a certain Marriott or a certain Hilton that most of the people will go to. And Peter would be in those lobbies while he was banned, just buying cards and selling cards. He did not miss events. So even while he was banned and he couldn't show up to the actual venue, he would still show up to the event. Basically, he would, like, if the event was held in Cali, if it was held in Vegas, if it was held in any, like, Peter would be there. Like he would be there, buying and selling cards in a lobby, essentially. Maybe not in Cali or whatever like that, but you know, if it was close by to Jersey, which like Baltimore, Philly, you know, all of those types of places, anywhere that he could drive to, he would absolutely be at the event. You know, not at the venue, but at the hotel. So it was kind of, to me, from my perspective, even when he was banned, I didn't stop seeing him. Like I still saw him every single event.
And events were getting way more players than before. And at the same time, not only had the power creep completely changed the game itself, but there were also complex online simulators where the best players could practice, competitive articles and guides available online, and less secrets that were held by the inner circles of the pro players. It was a completely new generation of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Online forums were slowly being drained of their culture as a trend towards social media and Facebook groups had facilitated discussion and theory, pushing even the average player at the time to one that would have dominated the scene only 5 years prior. But Peter, of course, was still following the game even during his ban. And now that he could enter tournaments and sanctioned events once again, he quickly adapted.
Now he
Defeating
searched Mirror
thousands of
Force.
players, he would make top 32 of both YCS Columbus and the National Championship in 2015 with his new favorite deck, the Teller Knights, a strategy
Another deck that searches a lot. Deneb, search. Summon Altair, bring back Deneb, search. Like, it's something about searching a lot, picking up your deck a lot that Peter just absolutely loved.
whose signature monster ironically searched for another copy of a Teller Knight monster from his deck, just like the gadgets. Yeah.
The scary part about this one is that technically Deneb searches all Teller Knights. So if he draws Deneb in any other Teller Knight, he could do the same trick. Summon Deneb, search out any card from my deck, show you Teller Knight, Altair, Vega, whatever, right? Like literally any Teller Knight, he could show it to you because this card searches any of them. So because of power creep, where Yu-Gi-Oh gets to a point where like cards just search anything, right? He could always have a hand that easily can do this.
Peter seemed to love cards that would search his deck. It was almost a combination of his two favorite decks in the past, Lightsworn and Gadgets. His confidence with the Teller Knights would also propel him to win the Ultimate Duelist series, an exclusive tournament comprising of the nation's top-ranked players, granting him the championship belt and also 2 buys for the first 2 rounds of all foreseeable tournaments to come. This was a prestigious achievement that only the upper echelon of duelists had ever attained, once again engraving Peter Cheng into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh history. It quickly became obvious that Peter Cheng—
Yeah, as you guys can see, the first ever UDS was in Philadelphia. So this was held down the street from my house. Like this tournament was literally held down the street from my house because this is in Center City, Philadelphia, where the convention center is. And again, Konami did not do a good job of advertising this. We had less than 60 people show up for this. It was basically my locals. I'm not even kidding. Featuring Peter, but Peter went to my locals. So like, it was literally just New Jersey and Philly people. That was really it. Like,
Cheng was once again a force to be reckoned with, though whether due to pure skill was less than debatable, at least according to the general opinion online. His explosive resurrection was certainly less than the community had anticipated, but at the same time, it reinvigorated the excitement of having a scandalous player in the relatively calm competitive Yu-Gi-Oh scene. And in the following year, Peter Cheng would find continued success, landing himself in the top 16 of YCS Columbus again with Teller Knights, and in the top 32 of YCS Providence with Cosmos. It was without a doubt that the man had a compelling mind when it came to the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! While other players experimented with different options, Peter was an early pioneer of utilizing just one singular deck across multiple events until mastery, a notion that would become popular years later. His core theory and methodology within the game was definitely well ahead of its time, but unsurprisingly, Peter's tactics would once again catch up with him, and at the start of the 2017 season, Peter would be disqualified and banned yet again for an extended period of time. With his legacy frozen, the community would largely forget about Peter Cheng once again, but nothing would prepare them for what would happen next. If you're enjoying this video, I just want to let you know that there's a lot more content like this in the horizon, so thanks for hitting that subscribe button and liking the video.
I'm just saying, these are just so.
Both of these monsters. Here we go.
Like,
I'm just saying, like, it's,
Chill out,
I'm
dude,
just
don't
saying.
chill.
I'm just saying, cause. Just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying the moves are so basic. Oh my freaking god.
where's my healer?
In 2017, competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Had grown to be extremely popular. But in the competitive scene, there was a pressing issue. Players had slowly become disillusioned
If you know, you know.
with the way that the game was being run officially. Formal rulings, like for XX Saber Dark Soul, were often delayed for months or years, because Konami Japan overseas was in charge of setting up these rulings and giving context to the judges, but for whatever reason, they just never did. Tournaments also failed to distribute any cash prizing, providing only prize cards and playmats instead, which was hardly a consolidation considering a lot of the players were spending hundreds and thousands of dollars to travel and accommodate themselves for these major tournaments. Not to mention the other popular card games at the time all had lucrative cash prizes. Whereas in Yu-Gi-Oh! Making even the top 16 of a 2,000-man tournament would mean you get a felt playmat and some booster packs as the sole prizing. The ridiculousness of which would expand into top 8 with players receiving an Xbox 360 when the Xbox One had already been out for nearly 1 full year. So basically, to earn your money back or to be profitable, so to speak, as a professional Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, you would have to make top 3 at the very minimum in order to get a copy of the prize card that could be sold for significant value on the secondary market. So needless to say, a lot of the players had become slowly more and more disillusioned and were pissed off. But a large and popular Texas game store named Ultra Reality Games, or ARG for short, took advantage of the situation and launched their own circuit of tournaments. And you guessed it, with cash money on the line. Much like the Star City Game Circuit for Magic the Gathering, these events were pushed by many pro players who partnered with the brand and boasted better policies, up-to-date rulings, and a generous lump sum should you win or place well in the tournament. They would put a focus on content and social media, live streaming each event, and often with commentary from prominent players on the mic, providing a feel that was akin to that of early Smash Brothers tournaments like Genesis or grassroots tournaments in the
was a crazy
FGC.
recovery.
Feature matches were chosen by the audience with a focus specifically on well-known players, and tournament records of these players and their storylines were placed at the forefront of coverage. Rivalries and grudge matches were common, top-notch content that would have never been featured on an official Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel.
Okay, yeah, we'll play $500. Let's go. Alright, you gonna talk shit? You can talk shit to my face. Alright? And I'll play that shit. So Tennessee, beating this motherfucker's ass for $500. You better sure you bring that shit.
But most importantly, these tournaments generated
Not Jeff
immense
popping
hype
off.
for the game, which was never before seen.
Not
it would
Jeff
be the
popping
perfect
off.
stomping grounds for Peter, for he was otherwise suspended from official tournament play. And unsurprisingly, Peter would instantly set his focus on grinding the ARG circuit, attending several events with little problem, and receiving a handful of feature matches, to which the YouTube comments could be pretty amusing. But one particular match would catch the attention of the entire world and bring the spotlight on Peter Cheng once more. ARG Championship Series Springfield 2017. It's round 5 and Peter is currently 5-0. He sits down to meet face-to-face with Frazier Smith, a pro player with a championship win himself, alongside dozens of other accolades. Frazier had previously won YCS Atlanta using
look
a
like a
unique
child.
Gravekeeper strategy during a graveyard-based plant synchro metagame, but he had since taken a break for some
Look at
time
what y'all
and
done
was
to my
just
hair, bro.
returning to the game.
Look at me
The
now.
tournament format would revolve
What if
around
the young me had
Zodiac,
to see me like
powerful engine
this?
that could be played
Like,
as
where
its
did it all
own
go
pure
wrong?
deck or
Where did
splashed
it all
into
go
other
wrong, chat?
strategies. They would completely break the Xyz mechanic, which previously allowed the player to summon out an extra deck monster by stacking 2 or more monsters with the same levels on top of each other. But with the Zodiac, the
That Frazier
extra
kid
deck
is
monsters
trash.
could be overlaid on top of one single monster. It was textbook power creep at its finest. Zodiac Broadbow could search for another
No, I
Zodiac
had no
monster
facial hair
from the
back
deck,
then.
while Zodiac Trident was an end-board piece that could destroy a face-up card during either player's turn. Now this of course already generated unreal advantage from just one single monster. Being able to search for a card card to replace itself, and then also destroy a card on your turn and another card on the opponent's turn at the minimum. But it gets even better. You see, their signature monster, the Zodiac Rapier, could special summon 2 more copies of itself from the deck whenever it was overlaid as a material. The new copies of Rapier could then be overlaid into any other rank 4, with Daigusto Emerald being the premium choice, for it could then recycle back the Zodiac Rapiers to draw a card and allow for the Rapier loop to be conducted again on the next turn. While Frazier utilized a Pendulum Zodiac strategy with Metaphors, Peter would instead combine his Zodiacs with the Infernoid engine. It seems that Peter would be nostalgic about prior decks that he'd seen success with, for just like the Lightsworns, the Infernoids were heavily mill reliant. They could resurrect themselves from the graveyard by banishing other Infernoids, and had explosive effects that could wipe the entire field, while negating either a spell or trap card in the case of a Noku, or a monster effect with Deviati. But the Zodiacs meshed really well into this strategy, because the Rapier combo could end on Bujinte Kagutsuchi, a rank 4 who could mill 5 cards from the top of the deck. So imagine being able to search a Zodiac monster, pop up to 2 cards, and also mill 5 cards from the top of your deck thanks to 1 lone monster. That's how broken the Zodiac engine was. But that's not all, because the deck also had access to one of the strongest in-engine cards ever printed, and also very much like Peter's favorite card, the Future Fusion. You see, just like Future Fusion, Void Imagination let the user fusion summon by using monsters from their deck, as long as the opponent controlled a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck. This would be used to fusion summon the Infernoid Tierra, who could be made using any number of Infernoid monsters, meaning just like the Chimeratech Overdragon, the user
Damn,
would
Peter really
effectively
did
send
gravitate
all
towards
of
the
Infernoid names
exact
from their
same
deck to the
type of deck.
graveyard, which of course could be brought
It has a
back
Future
using their
Fusion,
own
it has a
effects.
Chimeratech.
Upon summon, Infernoid Tierra would allow both players to send the top
It
3
mills.
cards of their deck to the graveyard, and also 3 cards from the extra deck to the graveyard as well, allowing Peter to send copies of Elder Entity Entis to pop a free card on the field, Cyframe Lord Omega to disrupt the opponent's graveyard, or just additional copies of Tierra
Yeah, bro
to
had a
serve as
type,
fodder
for
to
sure.
banish from the graveyard.
I didn't
to
realize it
resurrect
at the
other
time, like, you're
Infernoids.
playing
An
Lightsworn again.
unfathomable level
Slash
of advantage
gadgets.
from one single card, meaning just like Future Fusion, if Void Imagination resolved, the game was effectively over on the spot. The Infernoid Zodiac deck had everything that Peter liked in the past, from milling to activating Future Fusion. But the downside, of course, was having to play Infernoid monsters who really aren't that appealing to draw on their own. But here's where the deck had an edge. It could take advantage of That Grass Looks Greener, one of the strongest cards in the history of the game. Grass would allow the user to mill cards from the top of their deck equal to the difference in their deck size and the opponent's. Since a minimum deck count was 40, most players would play exactly this number to maximize the chances of drawing the strongest cards in their deck. With Grass, however, the player could easily max their deck count to 60, meaning a guaranteed mill for at least 20 cards against most opponents that were playing 40, or even more cards if the opponent went first and had already thinned their deck via searching. Resolving Grass would fill the graveyard with a plethora of Infernoids and also Fairy Tale Snow.
That card
Monster
is
with
so
an
outrageous.
on-demand
That Grass
quick
Looks
effect that
Greener.
summoned itself back by banishing any 7 cards from the graveyard, just like Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Upon summon, Snow was a disruption as it flipped an opposing monster face down. And for this reason, with Grass being so overpowered, the deck also played 3 copies of Left Arm Offering, a card that can search for any spell card in your deck, including Grass, but at the steep cost of banishing the player's entire hand. And game 1 would start with Peter winning the die roll, activating Left Arm Offering.
And he discards his
only to
hand.
discard his
Yep,
entire
he doesn't
hand
banish.
to the graveyard instead of banishing it. His very first
Yeah, so again, so finally, let me give you guys context on what's going on. I had quit Yu-Gi-Oh for a couple months up to this point. I should say not quit, but I had taken a hiatus in 2016 after like YCS Providence 2016 and Nationals when Domain Monarchs won. I was like, all right, I'm pretty much good on Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Like I just kind of want to focus on other things. You know, I've been working my career as an accountant and everything like that. So I'd taken a break. I came back to play in this ARG because at the time I was sponsored by ARG. Shout out to Jim. And I needed cards for my deck. And this is the crazy part. Peter has multiple copies of basically every card in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I showed up to the event. I knew what I wanted to play because I knew about like I knew about Zodiac. I had play tested online or whatever like that, or play tested like with proxies. So I knew what I wanted to play. I knew I wanted to play like a mashup of like Metal Foes with Rapier and all of that stuff, right? So I wanted to play Zodiac with the Pendulum deck. So I had my deck list, and I really like the Japanese idea, the OCG's idea of doing the Coach Wolfbark Bear thing or whatever that draws a bunch of cards, like you do that combo. I get to the event, and I borrowed the cards from Peter. So the cards that I'm playing with in the fucking feature match, bro, I borrowed them from Peter Cheng. Like, he lent me the cards before the event started and then proceeds to like savage me. And to this day, I never gave him the cards back because he got DQ'd and he got disqualified from this event. And I haven't seen him since. I have never seen Peter after that. It's crazy because he gets DQ'd and banned from ARG after this feature match. And then he goes to a YCS or at Nationals or whatever after, and he gets banned from Konami too. So within a 2-week period, Peter gets banned from both Yu-Gi-Oh! Circuits that you can play in. He got banned from both. And I've never seen him again. So I still have the fucking deck, the cards that like he lent me all those years ago. I just have never seen the kid again.
Action of the game was an illegal play that was so egregiously illegal that it's honestly kind of surprising. The card itself says banished. If it discarded, it would be way too broken, especially with a graveyard-based deck that wants to mill. Peter's excuse later on would be that he had only picked up the deck 5 minutes prior to the tournament and his friend had made the deck completely for him, even though it was round 5 and both players were undefeated. On top of
Yeah, that's another thing. So remember what I said earlier, Peter would just try things against you. He would see as far as the rubber band could stretch. So against me, he knew, because again, we were associates, he knew that I hadn't been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So I don't know the Infernoid cards. And you guys can tell in the feature match because I'm fucking reading his cards. And you know how when you're in a match against someone and they play a card that you really don't know what it does, so you read it. But really all you're doing is you pick it up and you stare at the card. And it's like your brain can't really comprehend what you're reading. So you stare at it and you read it, but you don't understand anything about what you just read. Like, you'll completely read it like, okay, this is Infernoid Deviati. And you'll read Deviati's effect, which is a lot of text. And then you'll give it back to your opponent and you don't know what the fuck you just read. You have no idea. You're just like, please God, just don't cheat me. In your head, you're like, I just hope that this guy's not cheating me, right? So Peter knew when he played me, we're both 4-0. And he said, so it's round 5. So that means we're 4-0, not 5-0. Just for what it's worth. But we're both undefeated 4-0. And Peter knows that I haven't been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, he knows this for a fact. So, and this goes back to me being naive and thinking that, okay, me and Peter are cool. He's not going to savage me. And yeah, turn 1, frame 1, game 1, activate left arm offering, discard his hand. Now, I knew left arm offering was a card. I've never played it before. The banish part completely eluded me. Like, I knew that he had to get rid of his whole hand. I didn't realize that it was banish your whole hand, but he put that shit in the graveyard and I don't even react to it. I don't even like slightly react to the fact that he put his hand in his graveyard. It doesn't even occur to me to like, well, that's just wrong.
he did this in a feature match that was live streamed in 4K HD to thousands of people around the world. But what was more shocking was the fact that neither Frazier nor the judge would immediately catch this. Though in Frazier's defense, he did mention that he was on hiatus and took a long time break, so he didn't really know all of the cards to the exact wire. Of course, the chat at the time would go completely bonkers, having caught the error and attempting to notify the commentators and the staff. Though some time would pass before someone finally caught wind of it, so play would continue as normal, with Peter activating the search copy of Grass, now milling a large chunk of his deck, which surprisingly lacked a chunk of Infernoid names. In fact, it was probably one of the worst possible mills. But he would be able to bring back an Infernoid Deviati by banishing the few 3 names that he did have in the graveyard, including at least one that he happened to discard with left arm offering, meaning that the first illegal play had now created a second illegal play.
Snowball.
Play passes over to Frazier, who then normal summons a copy of Eccentric Archfiend, now threatening the Deviati. So Peter is forced to banish 7 cards from his graveyard to resurrect the Fairy Tale Snow and flip face down the Archfiend Eccentric. But as Frazier lays down his next 2 cards,
play is immediately halted.
The head judge sits down at the table, having been alerted from the Twitch chat that...
So the judge who's watching right here, he's just there. He is the equivalent of a statue, right? Like, this is the equivalent, you know, no shade, not trying to be that guy, but like, he's just sitting there. And Peter's obviously just doing all the wrong things. And I have no idea. This guy's nowhere to be found. And the only person who caught the cheating was the stream. Like, if this match wasn't streamed, basically I would have been 2-0'd. He would have 2-0'd me. He would have gone on to be 5-0. And no one would have thought a thing of it, right? Like, no one would have known anything about this. This would have just been a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! That I was like, yeah, I got 2-0 by Peter. He just kind of opened up the nuts. I wouldn't have known that I got cheated several times. But because we got featured, thank God, because we got featured, the stream caught it. No judges caught it, even though there was a judge blatantly watching from Peter's perspective at that.
Something fishy, to say the least, had occurred earlier in the game.
Oh, you have to banish your hand? He discarded his hand.
Oh, I discarded mine, yeah.
Oh, crap.
know. I just...
Neither Frazier nor Peter can remember the original contents of Peter's hand, so the judges have no choice but to huddle together and talk it over. After a few minutes of heavy deliberation, the judges return to the table to inform the players that
I want you guys to know my hand was bricked out of this world, bro. I think I played one Archfiend Eccentric. My list is somewhere because I ended up topping this event. I actually went undefeated in Swiss at this event. So Peter would have stopped me if we didn't get featured. Like, if we didn't get featured, I would have got 2-0 and there would have been nothing special about it. But Peter literally bricked, like, my hand was so unplayable. You know something is wrong if a deck that plays Zodiac starts off going Summon Archfiend Eccentric. I don't think that is the right play or a good play in any scenario in this format. There's never a time where Summon Archfiend Eccentric is the right play. So that just tells you, like, right there, yeah, there's no fucking shot that, like, my hand was he would have beat me regular if he just didn't savage me.
the game state is now irreparable because so much has happened since Peter discarded his hand. Peter argues that it's his first time playing the deck and he had no idea, and even asked for them to rewind the stream to try and piece together their hands so play can be rewinded. But at this point, it's kind of hard to do that when a bajillion cards have been milled and an entire turn has passed.
There's no shot you can rewind this.
A procedural error for both players, a warning for Frazier, and a game loss for you. As you do gain mass advantage from not banishing your hand there.
Should have just said something earlier. I mean, the judge is right here.
I mean, to be honest, a game
I'm
loss
always
is
getting
the
lower end of the
minimum
deck.
for something that happens like this.
I just want to say Audacity had to be on sale that day. Audacity had to be on the fucking clearance rack. He told the head judge, I mean, you should have said something earlier. That is fucking crazy. You're like, Peter is wild, bro. Peter was a wild boy. This man would savagely cheat people and then also accuse the judges of being too late to catch him. You should have caught me earlier, bitch. That's literally what he just said. He told the head judge, you should have caught me sooner. Think about how wild that is. Like, the head judge, the person you're supposed to have one of the utmost reverences for, he's just like, nah, you should have caught me sooner. Like, this is your fault. So now he's just fucking blaming the judges for not catching him, which is crazy. And I get it, right? There is a judge who's sitting right next to him the entire match. But to say to the head judge, like, I mean, you should have caught me sooner, that is just wild.
I could be taking you over to a table and talking to you right now, but I'm not, because I don't think
So
it was
this is-
intent. I
okay,
think it was
so-
just accidental.
Instead of being grateful to the head judge, who had given Peter the minimum possible penalty, as he didn't believe that Peter deliberately made the illegal play, a salty Peter complains that the table judge should have caught his illegal play earlier and not waited until Frazier actually drew his card for turn, even though it was his own fault in the first place that the illegal play even happened.
The judge should have just said something earlier.
But we,
You know what I'm saying?
no one at this table knew what that.
Yeah, I'm saying you should have just said something earlier, not let it go to, you know, your turn and then say something.
Alright. Don't be mean, Peter.
No, I'm just saying.
I understand. Don't be mean.
Because he's saying this while the judge is sitting next to him. So basically, he's attacking the judge that's sitting next to us, right? He's saying the judge should have caught this sooner, but the judge is sitting there still. You, like, think about how rude that is. He's basically talking about somebody who's literally right there. He's talking about them, but not to them, which is just like, I was like, oh, he's being like an asshole now. Because that's a dick move. If I'm like, Frazier's bad, and I'm literally sitting right there, but you're not talking to me. You're talking to someone who's sitting next to me or whatever, and you're like, yeah, that guy Frazier's really fucking bad. He should have caught me way sooner. And I'm literally sitting there like, what the fuck? The judge is a super nice guy. As you can tell, he's not reacting to Peter throwing shade. I don't know if he's even, honestly, I don't know if the lights are on or whatever, but like, he's just not reacting at all to what Peter's saying. But Peter is basically disrespecting him to his face. Like, he's sitting right there and he's like, yeah, the judge this, the judge that. And I'm like, yo, don't be mean. Like, don't be mean. Because I know how Peter can get. He can get real spicy.
Just saying. If they had said it earlier, we could have, like, fixed
Absolutely, but
Peter receives a game loss penalty, so he's now down 0-1 in the best of 3. The community goes absolutely crazy. Twitch chat, Reddit, Facebook groups are all once again talking about Peter Cheng. Cheater Pang had returned.
that. What are they saying? Oh, great. This is gonna look bad.
yeah.
Always is.
There's some uncomfortable silence.
Not always is. Like, Peter will tell on himself. One thing I love about him is that he literally has basically no shame, if you think about it. Like, even in that moment, he's like, this is going to look bad. And then he just goes, always is. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by always is? Like, why are you always in a situation where it's gonna look bad, Peter? Well, like, at some point you have to acknowledge it. You're the problem, bro. If it always is gonna look bad, you're the problem. Like, at some point you have to just take accountability. It's not the judges for catching you too late. It's not your opponent for not catching you cheating. At the end of the day, you have to have some accountability. And that's the thing, is that he just refused to have accountability. And you're going to see how it spirals out of control in 2 seconds.
This is a two-player side deck for the next game, with Peter opting to go first since he lost. He looks at his hand for a minute, pondering, then activates Zodiac Barrage to special summon a Zodiac Rapier from his deck, commencing the Rapier combo by overlaying into Borbo, then Tiger Mortar, detaching Boar so he can special summon a second copy of Rapier from the deck via its own effect. Standard plays, of course. He then proceeds further into the combo, overlaying Broadbow over Tiger Mortar, resetting the first Rapier's effect so it can be used to special summon a third copy from his deck. But as he goes through his deck for the other Rapier, he shortcuts the other effect of Zodiac Broadbow, who can detach a material to search for a Zodiac monster. Except
Also,
Peter
I know
completely
I talk about this
forgets
a
to
lot,
detach a
but like
material.
my shuffle has been this is 2017, so this is what, 9 years ago. I developed this shuffle a long time ago where I don't pick people's decks up so that way, like, I just hate when people turn your deck on the side and they look at your bottom card. So now you know I'm playing Black Wings, or you know I'm playing Value, or you know I'm playing Frogs, or whatever. I always hated that. So I would try to show my opponents respect by not picking their deck up off the table and putting it on its face or on its side and shuffling. Well, some people literally will like shuffle and look down at the deck, and I fucking despise that. So that shuffle that I'm doing here is keeping the deck face down. And I wish more people understood how to just like shuffle without having to like turn a deck on its face. And if you're going to turn it on its face, you do need to kind of like look away. I look ridiculous doing this because my hair, but like you need to look away when you fucking, if you're going to pick the deck up. Just a little aside there.
Material to search for a Zodiac monster. Except Peter completely forgets to detach a material for the cost of this effect. Illegal play number 3 of this match. This also makes it so he only has 2 monsters in his graveyard, which stiffs his next play as he's not allowed to legally use the effect of his Daigusto Emerald to shuffle back 3 monsters from the graveyard into the deck, since there's only 2 monsters in the graveyard at the time of the activation.
You don't have enough targets. You have to have.
Oh, right, I'm sorry.
I need to pay attention.
Yeah, like, how the fuck did I fuck that up? Give me a second.
Yo, I'm just sitting. I'm just there. I am literally just there. Like, I am not. I literally lean forward. Like, I need to pay attention because I don't know that he's doing all of these illegal things. And at this point, the judge is now finally like actually saying something. So he's like, yeah, you don't have enough targets to activate that Daigusto Emerald. And I'm like, oh shit. I need to pay attention.
Yeah, like, how the fuck did I fuck that up? Give me a second.
Yeah, what'd you do wrong, Peter? What did you do?
Yeah, like, what the
This combo always ends with Daigusto Emerald. How did you mess it up?
Yeah, what the fuck happened?
Illegal play number 4. Now, I genuinely want to believe that Peter made an honest mistake here, because it's certainly not in his favor if he can't resolve the Daigusto Emerald to draw the free card. But it seems like he initially caught himself when he goes to detach and realizes that it's an illegal action. But then he tries to go through with it again before the judge stops him. So take that for what you will. Now, at this point, both Peter and his opponent are confused and are wondering what the heck he just did, because the current game state makes absolutely 0 sense.
I'm so done with this game. I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to play anymore. I'm done. I want to go home. I just want to go home. I have no idea what just happened. What should have been an extremely linear and standard combo line has somehow been fudged, and the numbers are just not adding up. As Peter mutters to himself, he proceeds to activate Void Banishment to try and search for Void Feast, a trap card that strengthens his end board and would summon out multiple Infernoids during the opponent's turn, all while asking himself what the hell he just did wrong. But little does he know, he's about to make illegal play number 5, though we'll get back to this in a second. At this moment, the table judge points out that he hadn't detached from his Broadbow for the effect of Rapier earlier, something that's still easily fixable, though technically at a warning for Peter, which the judge forgets to give him.
Chat told me to remind you to detach for something. Detach for bull search. Oh, I guess it was that. You probably were supposed to detach for that.
Okay. All right. So
That's-
yeah, that's
yeah.
like wait, something happened. That's why.
Something went wrong.
Yes.
To make things even more confusing, Peter then asks the judge if he still has to activate the Void Banishment, or if they can rewind to him shuffling and drawing a card first. I want you guys to understand that at this point, I've only ever summoned Archfiend Eccentric in this entire match, and there are 18 minutes left, just by the way. So I've been sitting here, I guess this is when Yu-Gi-Oh! Had 40-minute rounds, so 22 minutes have passed, and the only action I've ever taken, basically, is summon Archfiend Eccentric. Like, that's essentially the only thing I've done.
And so he's still playing by himself, and somehow with no interaction from me whatsoever, just fucking it up.
First.
So do I even still need to do this first? Because I was originally gonna do that.
Oh god, I don't want to play anymore. Don't ask me anything.
All right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
What happened?
Anything else was-
Now I'm asking me what he should do. Like, what the fuck do I know? What? I don't know.
I'm still gonna make this move anyway.
I just want to play you.
Hold on. Don't make any moves.
Okay,
yet.
okay.
Peter decides that the outcome is the same anyways, so he proceeds with his next play.
Yes, just stay here. Just saying.
Yo, please.
Peter overlays for Zodiac Trident and then tributes the Daigusto Emerald to summon out Vanity's Fiend, a powerful card that he brought in from his side deck that locks his opponent out from special summoning.
Okay.
As if this wasn't enough, he then passes his turn and flips up the Anti-Spell Fragrance, locking the opponent completely out of any spell card.
All right. I just want to say this too. Now I know he did a lot of illegal plays. Why is his hand so broken against me though? Like, I just want to say, my man has Vanity's Fiend, Anti-Spell Fragrance, fucking Void, whatever, Feast or Imagination or whatever nonsense. He had, to start off, he had a Rat Pierre to do the whole Zodiac combo. Like, he would have just beat me with these broken ass hands that he's drawing twice in a row. He drew, basically he drew grass game one because he played grass by playing Left Arm Offering. In this game, he opened up, and I'm playing Pendulums. So you know Anti-Spell Fragrance just cooks Pendulums, right? Like, if you don't know, now you know. It's a floodgate, it cooks my whole deck. He has that plus Vanity's Fiend. I don't really have an out to this. So, like, he would have just beat me if he didn't go so hard.
Cards during their turn. With the Void Beast poised to summon out 3 Infernoids during Frazier's turn, and the Vanity's Fiend preventing him from summoning any monsters, this is effectively an unbreakable end board that should be an automatic win for Peter. Even worse for Frazier is the fact that he drew his one of in the form of Speedroid Tacum Tomborg, a useless engine piece that you'd never want to draw. While Frazier would have probably scooped up his cards immediately against any other player, in the back of his head he still knew that he was playing against Peter Cheng. And if the first game was any indication, anything can happen when you're playing against Peter Cheng. And the longer that you stay in the game, the more likely it is that he might have made an illegal play, which he did, because a judge suddenly pauses the game yet again.
So wait. Why can't he summon Dragon?
That's all chat said. You cannot summon dragon.
So here we go again. The chat is the only reason that they caught this. I don't know shit. The judge sitting next to me also apparently doesn't know, even though he already caught Peter doing one thing wrong. But Peter does so many things wrong, and this is why I don't like playing against him. Peter does so many things wrong that it's really hard to catch all of them. Like, he will just do so many things that it's really hard to catch all the things that he will do. So it's like, at that point, even a judge sitting there who's paying attention, you have to be so on point. Like, I really don't fault the judge completely because he caught one thing, but then Peter does 3 more things. Like, at what point is it enough?
Oh god, what is happening now?
Yeah, Void
Oh, is it because you activated that card? Does that card do something?
Yeah, you can't normal special.
Does that card do something?
Infernoids.
See, this is why I was supposed to do this first. So, like, this is unbelievable.
This is another error.
Look at this. He looks at the judges like,
I'm done. I just what is happening?
Someone in the chat had noticed that Peter cheated yet again by summoning non-Infernoid monsters after resolving his Void Vanishment. You see, Void Vanishment has a line of text at the very end that says for the rest of the turn after you resolve this card's effect, you cannot summon any monsters except for Infernoids. And Frazier even picked up this card to read earlier, but it has so much text that it was just easy to miss.
yo, I'm telling you, it's exactly what I said. You'll, and hopefully, if you are in chat, hopefully some of you can resonate with what I'm saying. You will see a card that your opponent plays that you don't know what it does. You'll read it. You'll read the card, and I swear to God, you will comprehend 0 things that you just read. Like, I'm reading that card right now. Like, I'm reading the words. The words are going in my brain, and they're going 100% out the door. I didn't comprehend a single fucking part of that card. Also, I don't know what the Infernoids do at all. Like, genuinely, to this day, if you started summoning Infernoids on me, I'm just going to hope that you're doing it right. I don't know what they do. Like, the only one I remember when it came out was Decatron, because Decatron can send one from deck, and it, like, copies it. And I remember that was, like, their main Infernoid. The rest of those fucking things, I couldn't tell you how many you need to summon, how many you need to banish from grave. What I know, the big ones negate different things, but I don't know which one negates spells and traps and which one negates monsters. Like, they're just they're a myth. Like, the whole thing is a myth. And that spell card, I'd never played with that spell card or played against that spell card. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know if Peter's deck is considered good. Like, I feel like this is another case of him playing Machina Gadgets in Zodiac format. because like I don't know if his deck is good. I don't know if he should even be playing the deck that he's playing. I'd played against other mirror matches and like Zodiac decks, and I just feel like Peter's deck is another case of that. He's playing a deck that's probably outdated or doesn't really make the most sense, and just kind of getting away with it is kind of how I feel about this whole situation. But to the point, I did not read that card, even though I'm reading that card.
Discard one card, add one void from your deck, except okay. Also, you can have normal social moves for the rest of the turn, okay.
So in this very basic combo line, Peter had effectively messed up everything. He was supposed to summon out the Zodiac Trident and Vanity's Fiend before activating the Void Vanishment as the final layer of his combo, so the monster lock wouldn't matter. But he didn't.
So you can't even summon Vanity's Fiend?
No.
Oh my god.
See, I told you this was supposed to be done first, and then this is supposed to be at the end. But you know.
Oh yeah, he can't do this or this.
Yeah, no, he can't do either of that.
so
That's what
dumb.
I'm saying.
I
This was supposed to be done first.
Yo, he
and
can't
then,
do
like
either
he
one
said,
of
I
these
had to do
things.
this.
Oh, your whole field is illegal.
He's supposed to be activated last. I knew that.
Not your whole
Oh my
field is
God.
illegal.
This is the most.
We went from a game one, game lost to.
Oh my god.
And then
That's Jim right there, the owner of ARG, who just came up and
so
choked
you
Peter
didn't
with the
even-
headlock.
Somehow you pulled off activating an XC without detaching and didn't get a procedural error.
That's why I said, like, where did it go wrong? Like, this happens all the
You went to
time.
go for that goose
And
that
now,
roll,
Right.
and now you have Trident Vanities, which is a procedural error.
after.
You do know where this is going, Pete.
But I'm just saying, like, it's not intentional. Like, you know, these moves are just, I don't,
Yo,
The radius is
I
only
know, but I'm
both-
just saying,
both
these are
of these-
just so,
Both of these monsters cannot be on the field right now.
Like,
Right,
you,
yeah,
you-
no.
you know where a procedural error goes after. A
I
procedural
know,
error
but
game
I'm
loss, right?
saying, like, this was, like, I don't know how it walked up to this, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is so, it's so
Peter realizes this, but has little to
Oh
say.
god, he
beyond-
just started melting, bro.
basic, and
The
it's
end
like,
result- the end-
these moves are just so basic. They're not, like,
30
and these
minutes
are just,
outgoing.
like,
Someone
basic
centric.
moves from these,
Someone talking
you
Tom
know.
board.
God, this is, like, the most common basic moves, and it's like,
Then why are you messing
no,
them
I'm
up?
just saying, because
The chat and the head judge were really unamused. In addition to this,
My
Peter
guy
had
is
gone away
literally
scot-free
floundering
without
right
receiving
now.
even a warning for his illegal plays earlier in the match. He doesn't really have anything to defend himself with besides his new catchphrase.
these moves are just like the basic moves, you know? Oh my freaking god! And it's just a basic turn one move. It's not even like, no, but it's so
And I'm not going to
basic.
DQ you.
I'm just saying the moves are so basic, and
that's
it's
what you
just
should be happy.
the moves are just so basic. It's
Yeah, I can't deal. I can't deal with him keep saying it. He just keeps saying it. He's fucking stammering right now. Like, why is he? Who broke him? Like, he broke himself. He broke himself. Why is he just saying the same thing over and over?
unreal what's happening.
Because they were technically basic moves, but he kept repeating himself as if there was some sliver of hope that the judges would let him rewind and actually do the combo the right way.
It's not like there was any interaction with this move. They're just basic moves. This was like, it's not even like there was any interaction. Basic, I don't know where it went wrong.
I think he went wrong getting into the car this morning.
I keep hearing basic, and I'm like, I feel like he's a white girl right now.
He's like, it's so basic. It's so basic.
Either way, the match is over.
And it's just a
Either way, the match is
turn
over.
one move. It's not even like this was like. It's not even like there was any interaction in
Oh,
the game.
God.
You turn, oh my freaking god.
Where's my healer?
Not where's my inhaler. I still have my inhaler too.
Oh, this is so ugly. I can't.
You've actually left
I'm
with that
just
choice.
saying.
At one point, he would seemingly get annoyed and would even proceed to blame the judges.
Because he keeps coming over and saying, I'm just saying, but you guys are not saying it. Why are you not saying it after the
Because the judge keeps coming over. Like, god damn it, judge. Why'd you keep coming over? You know? Like, what are you doing?
like, the move is done? And he's like not saying anything either.
Because I'm still learning what these do.
Saying that they didn't point out his illegal moves and they were distracting him by walking back and forth to his table to check on the game.
This is unreal. I hope you know. I just hope you know.
Oh,
I'm letting you know. Oh my god. He literally did nothing. And like no one is like saying this after the move's already done. Unbelievable. Thanks, Judge. You're a real help, by the way. If it was anybody else, literally, that would have not had slide. Just saying.
I have no comments. I am simply going to go to the bathroom. Watch
This
the show
is
on my phone.
actually just insane.
The stream chat went absolutely crazy.
This was wild.
Frazier had only played a total of 4 Yu-Gi-Oh cards, only to win the match 2-0, including a game that was basically unwinnable.
I want people to understand that this might be the least amount of cards played to win a feature match in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. I don't know if we've ever had a feature match that someone has played less cards than me. I played 4 cards technically. I played Talkin' Tomborg, Archfiend Eccentric, and I played 2 scales, 2 metal foe scales in game 1. That is it. That's the only things that I did the entire set, and I won 2-0. I won 2-0, by the way. I fucking 2-0 Peter, and I played 4 cards, bro. I don't know if anyone has ever won a feature match with that many cards.
Yo, this has to be crazy on stream. I just know.
I know.
I just know the stream has been going crazy.
You're
I've literally
sitting here
drawn
and
2
you're not
hands.
saying it. That's why I
Game
said
1,
just sit
summon
here.
Archfiend Eccentric. Game 2, summon Talking Tomboy. And this is all I've done in the last 30
Oh my
minutes.
freaking god.
Actual hard evidence of Peter's shenanigans had finally unraveled to the world in front of thousands of people watching. The legendary moment would forever be embedded in Yu-Gi-Oh history. Peter's defense? It was apparently his first time ever playing the deck, and Peter's friend had helped them build the deck before the tournament.
What happens when you tell somebody build you a deck?
So yeah, this goes back to what I was saying about accountability. Like, Peter will deflect on every single thing. He will take no accountability. So if it's not the judges, now it's his friend who built his deck, and he never played the deck before, which you can kind of tell by the way he's moving with the deck, though. Like, he clearly has played the deck before. I think it's a bit ridiculous to say I've never played this deck, or that somebody built the deck for me and I don't know what it does. But then you're undefeated and you're playing the deck, and you're doing what the cards say to a degree, right? Like, you're just doing the Peter thing, where you like special summon Fortress by discarding Jinzo Returner, and you're checking to see if your opponent realizes that you can't summon Jinzo there. So he's doing like the cards, like the things that he is doing. The cards, to a degree, they say that, except Left Arm Offering says banish. He puts it in the graveyard. That's a check on me. He's literally checking me. He's seeing if I realize that, oh, this needs to get banished. If I don't say anything, he will keep going. But if I say something, he will just say, oh, and just move it to the banish pile. And that will just be how it goes. And against his first 4 opponents before me, I imagine that he was doing a lot of this, because he could even say, oh, I didn't build this deck. I don't really play this deck. But like, bro, you're undefeated in round 5. Like, you're 4-0. You 4-0. You beat 4 people. And whether you cheated them or not, like, I feel like there's no way you're 4-0 in an ARG without knowing what your deck does or how to play it or whatever. So this entire excuse of like, the judges should have caught me sooner, or my friend built my deck and that's why this happened, or the judge keeps coming over here, like, all of the excuses are just kind of wild.
Alright. They have no idea how to play it. Unbelievable.
Now, as funny as it sounds, I honestly think I might actually agree with Peter here. I don't think he deliberately tried to cheat, at least not in the second game. His sequence of play was so counterintuitive, and he had nothing to gain from it. In fact, if he played his basic combo the way that he should have in the second game, his hand was basically an automatic win.
Yep.
The head judge was also quite reasonable, and he didn't believe that Peter's actions were deliberate.
So,
It's also my first time playing this deck
so
too,
Peter,
but
here's the plus side. Is
Oh my
I don't
God.
think you're purposely cheating.
no, but it's so
And I'm not going to
basic.
DQ you.
I'm just saying the moves are so basic,
And
and it's
that's what
just.
you should be happy with.
But it's not that. It's
wanna
just
bring-
the moves are just so basic. It's unreal what's happening.
So Peter would receive only a match penalty and not a disqualification, allowing him to play further into the tournament. But he wouldn't do too hot, having been pretty tilted from this match, to say the least. The match would be posted throughout social media, forums, Facebook groups, Reddit. Everyone in the community would witness the hilarity. And more than anything, it was fantastic entertainment. But the story doesn't end here. Ironically, Peter's official ban from the Konami organized events would be lifted around that time, granting him the ability to attend YCS Seattle only 1 week after the ARG incident. He would play the same deck, with one of his opponents going on Reddit to note that Peter was unpleasant, extremely rushed, and grabbed his cards without asking, overall being a very annoying opponent to play against. And at this tournament, Peter would somehow get disqualified and banned yet again. Though the exact reason for his disqualification wasn't explicitly confirmed, according to a user on Reddit, it was allegedly for UC cheating related to something with the graveyard. Now, I know what you're thinking.
So literally a week after the ARG, where all this happens on Feature Match, and the entire Yu-Gi-Oh community is now aware of Peter Cheng doing all this crazy shit on stream, he flies to Seattle and then proceeds to play the same deck. And you can just imagine that he's doing the exact same type of thing. And it could be that, let's give him the benefit of the doubt for a second. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Let's say he really didn't understand what he was doing against me. Let's say he really never played the deck and he genuinely was making procedural errors because he didn't understand. My thing is, I feel like Peter's the type of person that would learn from that. So then when he goes to Seattle YCS, now he knows, well, I can just discard for Left Arm Offering every time and see if they catch. Like, that's the kind of person that he is. So I feel like he might have even learned from this whole event different ways to fucking cheat, basically. Like, it just flew out to Seattle and was like, I'm going to do this again. Also, because Konami and ARG at this time are separated, right? This is 2017, so there's a rift between the two companies. if you get banned from ARG, it doesn't matter because you can go play in Konami events. If you get banned from Konami events, you can play ARG events. There were players who were banned from each of them separately. So like there were people who were banned from Konami, but they were able to play in ARGs. There were people who were banned from ARGs, but they were able to play in Konami events. So it was a thing where like he's like, okay, I'm banned from ARG, but then I'm just going to fly out to Seattle and fucking play in the YCS. And who cares? Like, fuck ARG. I'm just going to play in a Konami event now. But he kept doing it.
Based on the prior story so far, you probably think that Peter would return to get his revenge once more. But this was seemingly the nail in the coffin for Peter's career as a player, for he would surprisingly not return to the competitive scene. But Peter's ghost would somehow still be in the community and haunt it in other ways. Also, if you guys made it this far into the video, it hopefully means that you enjoy my content. And I want to let you know really quick, I do have a
Arthur says, were there that many banned people? Yes, there was. So ARG had a list of like 10 banned people, I remember, and Konami had a list of like 100 or something banned people, or hundreds of banned. Konami has a big list of banned people, even back then. Like you could scroll the list of banned people. Most of them were banned at like a regional or local level, so you'd never see them at a YCS really anyway. They weren't like people who traveled. Like the ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't necessarily mean that they were banned from a major tournament. They could be banned for just like selling cards at a regional, right? That gets you banned. If you have an infraction at a locals and the locals reports you, you could get banned for that too. Like people fight, like people will literally get into fist fights. If you stole and you got reported at your local, that could get you banned from Yu-Gi-Oh! So people could get banned for a multitude of reasons, and you don't have to get banned at a YCS or nationals or anything like that. It could be at a much smaller event. But yeah, ARG had a small ban list because ARG was new to running tournaments basically, and Konami had been running tournaments since 2010. So if you think about it, this is 2017. So by that time, Konami's been running events for 7 years. So that's 7 years of accumulated bans across the entire North America. Whereas ARG is just running like, you know, an event every month or so. And it's a new tournament series that started in 2013. So about 4 years.
Patreon page where you can get early access to my feature videos like this one and behind the scenes content, including footage from these stories that didn't make the final cut.
Is this the end?
With his career as a player effectively ended, or at least on extended hiatus, Peter still couldn't leave the game that he devoted so much of his life to. Now, remember how we mentioned earlier that Peter would buy and sell cards to fund his travels? Well, it turns out that being banned from playing, Peter would instead shift his complete attention onto buying and selling cards, creating an online store on the eBay-owned platform TCG Player. But over the next few months, across buy and sell groups on Facebook, there would be complaints about a certain TCG Player account by the name of Lumina, which was probably inspired by the Lightsworn monster, if you see where I'm going with this. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Trade complaints, a group consisting of over 11,000 members, several customers would state that this seller had sent them damaged, high-value cards. In one case, it was a Starlight Rare IP Masquerena, which at the time had a market value of over $1,000 USD. But many others
I was
were
out the
even
game
less
at this
fortunate,
time.
for they would not receive their order at all, having to complain to TCG Player support in order to get a refund. With such a concentrated group of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, many were quick to call out that Lumina was in fact an online store that was owned and operated by Peter Cheng. Quite a fitting name, as Lightsworns were one of his most successful decks over a decade prior. As time passed, there were more and more complaints about Peter, ranging from damaged cards that were received not as pictured, to more orders not being received at all. This was a recurring trend, for it seemed that Peter was extremely forgetful, or maybe he just didn't intend to ship out the smaller cards in the first place in the hopes that the customer might forget. Stories would also trickle across the internet to Reddit, where a thread asking sellers to watch out for on TCG Player would have the most upvoted response be about Lumina. Some less unfortunate players would receive their order, but it would be missing.
The fact that there is a thread out there on the internet of some of the worst sellers on TCG Player, and the #1 fucking most upvoted thing is the one about Peter Chang's store. That is actually crazy. So not only like savaging people in the game, but then it becomes savaging people outside of the game.
A card or two. With other orders, his communication through TCG Player would be less than accommodating, with the buyer having to send multiple messages only to get one sentence in reply before getting ghosted. A belligerent customer who didn't receive his package directly slid into Peter Chang's DMs, with Peter asking, "But how you know it was me?" before being informed that there were many threads about him online. "Oh wow, can't believe there's a thread," he would say. "That's kind of cool." Peter then stated that the package was delivered and provided the tracking number.
Is it safe to say that like Peter might be narcissistic or something? Because someone tells you that there's a thread that is about the worst sellers on TCG Player, and you go, there's a thread, that's kind of cool. Like there has to be something wrong here, right? Like there has to be something deeper.
Online. Oh wow.
I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose anyone. But this is a crazy thing to say to somebody who's saying, bro, I haven't received my cards and it's been weeks. And I'm now DMing you personally on Facebook, right? I've taken it out of TCG Player's hands because I've tried TCG Player and you're not fucking responding to me. So now I'm DMing you, the person, because I know it's you, it's your store. And you're like, how did you know it was me? And the guy goes from a thread. He goes, oh, wow. Can't believe there's a thread. That's kind of cool. What the fuck is happening? What is happening, bro?
I believe there's a thread, he would say. That's kind of cool. Peter then stated that the package was delivered and provided a tracking number to prove it, except it wasn't delivered to the right address. But with a quick glance at the screenshots, it seems that the buyer was actually moving during his deal with Peter, so we can't fully attribute fault to Peter here. But I thought it was interesting that one person just had enough and actually slid into Peter's personal DMs. Another member alleged that Peter canceled an order he made after the card's price surged overnight, only to relist the exact same cards on the same day that the order was canceled at a higher price. One customer even felt blackmailed and threatened by Peter Cheng, though there wasn't any hard evidence beyond their comment. People quickly realized that Lumina, aka Peter Cheng, was to be avoided at all costs.
That's crazy.
And to the hilarity of the entire community, one unsuspecting fellow would ask for a reference check on Peter Cheng, only for the thread.
I love that there's a fucking laughing emoji. I love that there's a laughing emoji on this. Like the fact that the main thing you see here is a laughing emoji is hilarious to me.
To be met with almost 200 laugh reacts. Luckily, he asked before making a deal with Peter. All of this would culminate in a chunk of terrible feedback in Lumina's store on TCG Player, with over 55 pages to a...
Cards never came, tried messaging twice, never got an answer. There's a difference between heavily played and damaged. There's a big crease on the corner line, goes through the attribute. Never got the cards. No response from sellers after waiting 48 hours, never got a refund. No shipment notification 1 week after placing order. And when I tried to reach out to the seller, I was met with an automated response for a full refund. Nice waste of time. This is a terrible seller, and you should remove him from this platform. From what several others have told me, this individual never sends items out on time. In several cases have been items are not what they are described to be in the mint that they are labeled as. I wish I could leave less than a 1-star review for this sale, and I would not recommend anyone buy from the seller. Terrible service, and TCG Player makes me wait 30 days for my refund. Terrible professionalism from both sides. If I could, I would order my cards on another site. Provided tracking, but package was never shipped. Tried to contact seller, never replied.
Total of 548 negative reviews. And Peter Cheng...
Wait, how many?
To a total of 548 negative reviews.
Okay, I don't know TCG Player. I'm not a seller. You should not be allowed to get 548 negative reviews on any platform. If I was an Uber driver and I got 548 1 or 2 stars, if I got 548 1 or 2 star reviews in anything, Uber, fucking DoorDash, like selling on TCG Player, if you got 548 negative reviews, bro, you should not be allowed on that platform anymore. Like very clearly.
Views, and Peter Cheng being added to the community blacklist for bad traders and scammers. But in Peter's defense, he somehow still had a positive lifetime rating with 99.4% on over 50,000 sales, which means that he had actually sold a lot of cards successfully. And though rare, among the heaps of negative comments, there were at least a handful of customers who successfully bought cards from Peter with no issue. But to this very day, Peter Cheng continues to peddle cardboard online with a store comprising of over 450,000 individual products, the last remaining sliver of the legend himself.
Yeah, so Peter, like I said, even when we were younger in 2009, 2010, he already had made well over 100K like in profit from buying and selling cards. So he had money, and apparently he's still selling on TCG Player right now, which I don't know anything about. I haven't seen him in a very long time, but I assume that that's still the way he makes his money. And if you don't know about it, then you're just going to buy from him when you see the lowest price. If he has the lowest price, people just click the lowest price, right? That's what they do. So yeah, not really surprised there, but that was very entertaining, chat. I got sent that video probably 20 times yesterday when it came out, including from some of my friends, but then also people who are just like, just send it to me because I was in it. And I watched it immediately. I think I watched it at like 8 a.m. yesterday, and it was really good. So shout out to Squiddy for making a phenomenal hour-long, is this an hour-long? Yeah, this is an hour-long video. So shout out to Squiddy for that. I am going to switch over. We have an Edison tournament that is now in the finals. Or it's in top 4. I'm gonna switch over to that, but I'm gonna take a quick break to get that set up, and then I'll be right back in like less than 5 minutes. Okay. Well, this is not at all the way this is supposed to look. I don't know what the hell I did wrong. All right, let me fix this, chat. Anyway, we are back though. Actually, I guess that this will just have to do for now. I'll have to fix this later. I will just fix this later. Let's see. Let me move this like that. What the hell is going on with this window? Transform. Whatever. This will just do. This will just do for now. This will just have to do for at this current time. Yeah, whatever. Is this, are they playing, or is my shit frozen? I can't really tell. And where's my chat box at? There we go. The chat box is back. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to I'm gonna have to set this back up after the stream. I should have created a scene for the watch party. Yeah, the thing is, I could do transform stretch to screen, but the problem is I have a frame, so I have to get it back in the frame. So I could, okay, I will do that, but it's gonna take a lot more, like, fit the screen. Yeah, this is not. What is this window, by the way? Okay, this is the problem. There we go. All right, fixed. Fixed. All right, we're back. We are so back. Do you think DDV is still main deck worthy with so many GBs running around? I don't really know. Like, so it is interesting because DDV has been main decked in value for so long, for like almost 2 years now, or I guess a year and a half. I'm not the value player, right? Like I don't really know what they do in that community in terms of what is correct and not. I know a lot more people are taking DDV out of their main deck. I don't know what they're replacing it with, but value is factually losing a lot to GBs now. And I think that that's because the GB deck was made after the value deck to kind of counter the value deck. Just same way like most decks are made to counter the value deck. So it could be that it is a bad time to just be on double DDV in the main deck. But the thing is, it's really good against value turbo, so the mirror match. It's good against frogs. And those are two of the big three, right? So like you're going to play a lot of frogs, you're going to play a lot of value turbo in a tournament. And if that starts to change, then DDV becomes worse because DDV is not a great card against GBs and is not even that great against hero frogs, but that's a whole different conversation. And I'm on record saying that years ago. Like, I don't think that it's that great against hero frogs either. But here we are. In fact, like, you know, Dupless Hero Frogs was born because of DDV being main decked. Like, that's why Dupless Hero Frogs became a thing. The Dupless build is really resilient to DDV, but then people realize that you can still just play the Dupe Frogs and your deck is just better overall, and it doesn't matter that like people main deck DDV. Hero Frogs are still just like strong enough to power through that shit. So this is top 4, by the way. Let me put up the bracket. So this was a single elimination tournament that I was running in the background. As you can see, it's called the I Am There Peter Cheng React Edison tournament. But yeah, this is top 4. So we're in top 4 right now. Let me just. Any reason you use Dueling Book over Omega? Well, I mainly use Dueling Book because that's where tournaments are actually held at. I don't think anyone's really holding tournaments for on Omega. Dueling Book is just better, by the way, than any other platform to play Yu-Gi-Oh on, unfortunately. Like, the unfortunate fact is, because Dueling Book is manual, like completely manual, it's just a better platform for playing Yu-Gi-Oh online. Now, if you're learning the game, I think that Omega could benefit you or whatever, because it gives you prompts and all that stuff if you want, but like, I just don't really think that it's good for the purpose of this. And the tournament, yeah, my tournaments are only for people who have joined my Patreon. So they are people who have joined my Patreon are allowed to play in my tournaments. If you have not, then they are not open to the public, basically. And these tournaments, we give out cash prizes. So the winner of these locals always gets $20, and a winner roll that gets you an invite to an end of year tournament that has even more money. We also do other tournaments that are like cash prizing and stuff like that. And we're going to be doing a 1K every quarter. So there's going to be a 1K coming up in, I want to say in March. I want to do a 1K. I want to do the next 1K in March. I think February is jam-packed with events. There's like the RRC. Actually, I want to pull that up too. So there's the Retro Reborn thing while I have you guys. If you didn't know, there is going to be a redo major coming up on February 28th in Toledo, Ohio. Check this out for sure. This is if you like other retro formats. I know people complain that Edison is the only format or whatever, but like if you actually do like other formats, please support these other formats when they have in real life tournaments like this. So this is giving away a super rare Minerva. I actually checked on eBay yesterday because I didn't know how much super rare Minerva is, and she is like $3,500. So getting first place at this event is a lot of fucking money. And then second place is a giant hand, which is $1,500. So if you get first or second, or if you guys split, you guys are splitting $5,000 between first and second, which is insane. And then there's other really good prizes as well. Did somebody win? So this is happening, but also, so this is Saturday. There's also going to be other tournaments. So day 2, they have an Edison tournament, which is only $30 to play in. It's a $30 Edison tournament, and it's capped at, I think, 256. So it's like, you know, day 1 is the main event. You play and redo. Day 2, they're going to have Edison and they're going to have GOATs. So the Edison tournament is $30 entry, and it has Ulti Kai's, Ulti Titanial, Colossal Fighter, Super Miracle Fusion, Super Black Whirlwind as prizes. There's side events being run the whole weekend. There's vendors. There's a bunch of, you know, a bunch of shit going on. Also, there's another thing happening. So they also have a GOAT tournament happening as well. Let me go to events. Here we go. So also on Sunday, if you don't want to play Edison, you can play in the GOAT tournament. And the GOAT tournament has a first place is TP2 Ultra Rare Morphing Jar, which I looked it up, and that card is also worth thousands of dollars. I think it's like 3K. So this GOAT tournament is happening on Sunday. So you can choose between GOATs or Edison on Sunday, whichever one you want to play in. And yeah, day 2 is an in-person GOAT format event sponsored in partnership with the GOAT Grand Prix. So there's your entry. It says standard entry $50, includes exclusive GGP t-shirt and special made event token. So I guess you get this t-shirt for just entering the tournament, which is this is actually a really cool t-shirt. Personally, I would like it in black, but I like that you get to see the black highlights of BLS or whatever. So yeah, this is all happening at the end of February. So February 28th and March 1st. And there's also, yeah, there's a bunch of shit happening in February. So I'm gonna do my 1K, my online 1K in March. I think it just makes more sense. But anywho, yeah, TP2 Ultra Morphing Jar. I looked it up on like TCG Player yesterday, and I think it was $3,000 for like light played, like not even near mint. It was like light played. It was like 3K. Let me see if I can pull that back up because I actually was looking at it yesterday. Oh, I found it. That was in Heart. So if I filter this by near mint and light played, the lowest on TCG Player for TP2 Morphing Jar is $3,500. So just so you know, there's no cap here. Like the near mints are 5K, lightly played is 3,500. I don't know what I'm assuming this condition is either lightly played or near mint. It doesn't say, but like they're obviously not going to give they're not giving out moderately played cards. They're not giving out damaged cards. So at the very least, at the bare minimum, this is a $3,500 card. Yeah. But yeah, there's a redo event happening on Saturday, and that has a Minerva. The Minerva is a crazy prize because the Minerva is going to be worth money. First of all, it's already worth money. Minerva's already worth a lot. I think they have Minerva on this website as well. Let me see. Minerva, the Exalted one. I remember seeing it on here somewhere. Maybe I have to take the filters off. Let me reset filters. Just type in Minerva. Oh no, there's like way too many Minervas. Okay, the Exalted Lightsworn. Yeah, I can't find it on there. I swear I saw a Minerva on here though. Like I am almost certain I saw a Minerva. But maybe I was on eBay. I don't know. But I remember seeing Minerva for like 3,500. Anyway, my point is, if you win the Minerva, I advise that if you don't need the money, that you keep it for at least the next 10 years. Because cards go up so outrageous every decade. Just a little advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but yeah, if you win a prize card, I feel like the best thing to do is to keep it if you don't need the money right now. If you need the money, obviously do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Now, what game are we in? We're in game 2. Return Junk Synchron from hand to top of deck. Return Junk Synchron from hand to top of deck. Drew Junk Synchron. Drew Junk Synchron. Shuffle back 2. Drew 3 more. Oh, you have to search Ultra Rare or Super to find the prize card version? Will they have it on here? Like if I type in Minerva Super or something, let me clear the filters again. Minerva Super. Oh, that's how you, thank you so much, teaching a boomer. So near mint, they have a near mint Minerva for 2,400, and I lightly play, I don't understand this, but I lightly play for 2,700. So Minerva is at least like $2,400. So there's that. It seems like this morphing jar is a really crazy prize, I guess. For I don't play goats, but this is a really crazy prize because I feel like this morphing jar is worth a shit ton. But Minerva's worth at least 2,500, 2,400 right now, so that is pretty good. Remember when prize cards were needed for decks? Edison. Darkia was needed. Crush Card Virus in 2007 or whatever was needed. Crazy times. Don't ever do that again, Konami. Like, don't make it where you absolutely need it. You know what I mean? It's one thing for it to be like, okay, we printed a prize card and you could use it, like it's usable, because I do like usable prize cards. I just don't think that they should be, you have to play this, otherwise your deck is subpar. Spiritual Water Art. Owie. Do you think Dark End should be legal in Edison tournaments? Yes, I have no problem with Dark End being legal in Edison tournaments. Has Peter Cheng read his Infernoid cards yet? Probably not. Honestly, he probably hates Infernoids now, because that was the beginning of his downfall. Would you feel the same way if Crush Card was legal? Yeah, I'm all for, like, if we're gonna play retro Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm all for people having access to all the cards. I don't care about like it was a prize card. That does not. I want to play people at their best. I don't give a fuck about like, oh, you couldn't afford this at the time. Who cares? So if Crush Card was legal, then sure, like have Crush Card. If Dark End's legal, have Dark End. Do you go out in public with that hairstyle without a hat? No, because it is literally 10 degrees where I live at right now. So even if I had my regular hair, I would never leave the house without a hat. It is entirely too cold outside. If it exists in the carpool, it should be legal. Exactly. Like, yeah, I'm not so elitist that I believe that because it was a prize card, people shouldn't be able to play it. Like, that is a crazy, like, who are you to determine what people could have afforded or could afford or whatnot? Like, that's just ridiculous. I don't think that the barrier of entry should be, oh, this was a prize card and you couldn't afford it at the time because you were a child, so you can't play it. Like how are we policing that? I'm keeping the haircut until my hair grows back, which it already has started, so this is not like a permanent haircut. Like, I would never stay like this. The purest idea that if you couldn't afford it, then you shouldn't be able to use it now for card games has always blown my mind. Yeah, I don't even know. Honestly, I really don't even understand the mindset of that. You know 360 waves, you have just 60 waves. I don't even know if I have 60 waves right now. I feel like at this current time I have like 6 waves. I think I have like 6 waves. I get the mindset. It's called loud and wrong. Not loud and wrong. Yeah, but I'm just not of the belief that like if you couldn't afford it in 2010, then you shouldn't be playing it now. I don't like, because that's what you're saying basically at that point, right? Is like, should Dark End be legal? Like, first of all, people had Dark End Dragon in 2010, right? Like, there were people who had it. I randomly had one because I got it as a birthday gift. My friend sold it basically to my parents for $1,200. So I had a Dark End Dragon, and weirdly enough, I don't know if I ever used it in a tournament outside of like locals. Just crazy time. I ended up playing Machina Gadgets at Edison. What do you think of over 40 card decks, especially like 43, 44 and so on? Did you ever play with such on a bigger tournament? Well, obviously I don't care about going over 40 cards because I won an Ultimate Time Wizard with a deck that was over 40 cards. So I'm a big proponent of going over 40 if it makes sense. I don't believe in going over 40 cards just to go over 40 cards though. It has to make sense to me, but yeah. So if your deck needs 42 cards or 43 cards or 44 cards, then so be it. Like Jake Mattern just topped the most stacked tournament at the LDS with 44 cards in his GB deck, and that guy's cracked. So and Simpson plays 42, and me and Sizzle play 41, and fucking Tim Pont, who topped like 4 or 5 times last year, he be playing 49 and shit, 48. Like, you can really just, if you can make sense for it, you're a good player. I'm sure you'll be fine going over 40 cards. Yeah, my last online tournament, I played 60 cards. I played a Hero Frog / Forgs deck, and I played 60 cards, and I went X2. If I had a slightly better tie, I got 17th place. If I had a slightly better tiebreaker, I would have got top 16. I played 43 with 9 gadgets because mathematically you'll get 1 opening hand. See, you made sense for yourself. I bought a super rare giant hand in 2017 for a regional because no one in the venue had a gold rare copy. I ended up never summoning it and sold it a month later at a different event for plus 600. That's pretty good. Dark-End Dragon is one of the prize cards that only came ultra rare, right, chat? Like they didn't do like ultra and super at that time. Yeah, just Ultra? Okay, that's what I thought. They're re-releasing Dark-End Dragon now, though, through Genesis. Yeah, I've seen that. No, if you sub to Patreon, why would you get kicked out? Peter Cheng probably played sub 40 card decks. No, Peter liked to go over 40 cards. Which scares me. Because I feel like he could present you a deck that is 40 cards and then this motherfucker has like 2 cards somewhere else. Just knowing like the lives that he would go to. Absolute Zero. A crazy card in a simplified game state. Torrential is gone. Oh, Soul Exchange. One of my faves. Oh, that was a good Soul Exchange, actually. That was a really good Soul Exchange Caius there. Soul Exchange Caius is broken. I saw that Peter Cheng scandal, and to be honest, I don't know who he is, but I've been your fan for a while now, and it caught my attention to see you there. Greetings from Honduras. Greetings from Philadelphia, my friend. Yeah, Peter was just a notorious, like Squiddy said in his video, he was one of the most notorious players in the game's history. for all the wrong reasons. Apparently, I didn't know about his vending shit that went bad when he started to like. I don't know if you is it considered scamming if you don't do good business on TCG Player? Like that is scamming, isn't it? To a degree, like if you're not sending people their cards that they ordered. Like, would you guys classify that as scamming, or like what? Like what is that classified as? Because like if you just don't send 548 orders, or if you don't send someone their order, you cancel it and then you re-upload the order with higher prices. I just feel like there's so many bad business practices that Squiddy pointed out in the video that I didn't know about because I haven't talked to Peter since 2017. Yeah, just wild. PC companies have been doing that recently. What do you mean? PC companies have been not sending? Banish e-call. John Good, yes. So that's what I was saying. Peter did so much volume, and I think he is one person. I don't think that he has like a team. He's not like a warehouse. Like some people enterprise their TCG Player stores. Peter Cheng is not one of those people who have enterprised their TCG Player stores, at least not when I knew him. So if he gets 10,000 orders, it's Peter Cheng himself filling the 10,000 orders. Obviously, this is no excuse for like bad business, because at the end of the day, like the customer doesn't give a shit that you're running a one-man thing. And if you can't fulfill 100 orders a month and you're just fucking it up, you need to hire someone at that point, right? Like it's on you to make your business not be basically a scam. Can you make a video playing Peter's Machina Gadget deck in Edison? I sure can. Let me see if I can find it online. It's actually a good idea. Okay, well, I think I found his list really fast. I even found like a picture version of it. All of these cards are legal, right, chat? Is there anything in this deck list that I cannot play? This looks like it's completely Edison legal. Yeah, I don't see anything that looks like it's illegal in this entire deck list. Not even the side deck. Is Rainbow out in our format? I assume it is, right? Yeah, I think his whole deck is actually... I could actually play this. Maybe if I play this, I'll find out that his deck was actually nice. Don't forget to add Future Fusion when searching for a gadget. Insanity. So tomorrow on the channel, there is a gadget video coming out, which is so funny because that wasn't planned. Like, that just was not planned. You gotta play it like him. You gotta play it like him is crazy. Playing that list in the X-Sabers and Infinity is wild. Yeah, his list was literally an Edison deck that he took to a tournament where he had no business playing it. Like, his deck is so bad past Edison. This deck is fine in Edison. You can play this in Edison and you can top, you can win, you can do whatever. You cannot play this after Edison, though. I'm sorry. I just do not believe that this is a good deck after Edison format. Propaganda, I refuse to buy into. To see you playing Xyz felt weird. Edison ain't that complicated in comparison to what I saw in that video against Cheng. Well, I was playing Pendulums too. I was playing Xyz, I was playing Pendulums, I was playing all the game mechanics. Except Links, because they weren't out yet. Thank you. You love the haircut? I think you guys are really going to like the gadget list tomorrow. It is quite good. Like, genuinely, I think the list that I'm playing tomorrow is just... I think it's very viable. And you will see why in the video tomorrow. Like, yeah, I I like the deck a lot. I want Gadgets to be good so bad, bro. Like I actually, because you guys don't understand, I played Gadgets at SJC Edison in 2010. 2,200 players. I played Gadgets and I got 34th place. I got 34th place and it was cut to top 32. I almost topped my first event with Gadgets. Well, my first top was almost Gadgets. That's what I should mean. It wasn't my first event, but it would have been my first top and it would have been with Gadgets if I didn't get shitted on by tiebreakers. My first regional top was with Stun. I gave up Shame. Pontus, I'm a junk sinker more than you say has. Facts. Hey, bro, how do you take care of your soccer jerseys? Mine's always got ruined in the washing machine. I do not wash my soccer jerseys in the washing machine. I would take them to get dry cleaned. There's certain clothes that I know not to even put in my dirty clothes hamper. They go into like a separate pile that goes to a dry cleaner because... yeah, jerseys, I feel like with the appliques and stuff, you're not supposed to really put jerseys in a harsh washing machine. So I don't wash my jerseys conventionally. I take them to get washed by a professional. Same thing with like I have like some really nice cashmere sweaters and like wool sweaters and stuff like that. You're not supposed to put those in the washing machine either. I also don't wash jeans. There's a lot of things that, honestly, the only things that go in my washing machine are like t-shirts, underwear, socks, sweatshirts that are like, you know, like basic sweatshirts, like a Nike sweatshirt or something like that, or Adidas sweatshirt. But in terms of like jeans, jerseys, sweaters, cardigans, like certain things like that just don't go in the washing machine. Yeah, you're not supposed to put them in the washer, especially if you pay good money for the jersey. Like I really, wait, why not jeans? You're really not supposed to wash jeans often at all. Like jeans don't really need to be washed very often either. Like if you just like watch some YouTube videos about jeans and just like how to take care of your jeans properly. You should not really be washing your jeans like over and over again. Why did my jersey get torn up? Did you read the care tag? Yeah. Also, specifically jeans that have dye in them, like if your jeans are like indigo, they have a lot of indigo dye or they're black. If you wash them, you ruin the jeans. You completely ruin them. You should take them to a dry cleaner. Dry cleaning is also pretty cheap, by the way. Like it's not like this is some expensive service. The only annoying part about it is that you do have to take it to a dry cleaner. But if you just go on Google Maps and type in like dry cleaner near me, you can find dry cleaners who will properly care for your clothes so that they don't get fucked up. Because jeans, you know, we're not talking about just like regular Levi blue jeans that don't have any dye in them. I'm talking about like the dark, you have a pair of deep dark indigo jeans or a pair of like waxed denim or a pair of black jeans. The shit will bleed out into everything else that you washed it with. And even if you wash it by itself, you're still ruining the integrity of the garment. So yeah, I don't wash jeans. I either take them to a professional or they just don't get washed. One of the two. Yeah, I know some people used to put them in the freezer. I don't do that. I don't think it's that deep. If your jeans start to smell, you should take them to get just dry cleaned. Like, but I'm not putting jeans in the same place that I put food at. That's insane. Ryzen, you genuinely don't know what you're talking about. If you have black jeans and you put them in a washing machine, they 100% have leaked color. It's not possible for your jeans to not have leaked color. You might not have noticed it, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. I guarantee you, if you put your jeans in a washing machine and then you let them wash for 5 minutes, open the washing machine, like look in the washing machine and see what color the water is. Just look at the water. Like the same thing, never leaked color is crazy. Like that's just factually impossible. Like your jeans are black. You know that jeans don't start off black, right? You know that they're dyed that color. Like your jeans, like they're not made from a material that is black. They're dyed. That's how they get that color. And the other thing is that dye, you know, bleeds, especially in water. Ooh, Tim doesn't have much life points though. He can pay one more time with Ultimate Offering, and then it's gonna. I don't know. This looks really bad, honestly, right now. Hero Frogs is showing its dominance over the other frog deck. Jeans are naturally blue. Everyone knows this. I have never had any horror stories about dry cleaners. Yeah, my dry cleaners are fine. I have not had any horror stories. I don't even know what the horror stories would be. Like, I guess they could fuck your garment up, but their entire existence is that they read the care tag. And even if they don't read the care tag, they kind of know how to deal with certain materials by default, because that's just the entire nature of their business. Do you run any of your big tournaments on Monday or Tuesday? Big tournaments, no. Only locals ever get ran during the week. So Monday through Friday, there's always just going to be like local type tournaments, but there's never going to be a big tournament on a Monday or Tuesday. Have you ever paid to get your clothes altered? Yes, I get my clothes tailored all the time. In fact, I have clothes that I have to pick up from my tailor on Monday. I have stuff being tailored almost every single week for the last like 2 months. Maybe even longer, because I think I started going to this new tailor in November. So November, December is now January. It's the end of January. So yeah, I've been getting, I mean, I've always gotten clothes tailored since 2016, I think is when I first started doing that. So it's been 10 years since I've been getting clothes tailored, but yeah, I get a lot of things tailored. I don't really like the way things fit when you first buy them. Like, and I love the way things fit after you get them tailored for you specifically. Who won? Okay. All right, we're moving on to the finals, and then we can end tonight's stream. I have tailored t-shirts, yeah, depending on what t-shirts they are. Because t-shirts, one of the things I hate about t-shirts, a lot of times that they're too long, and I don't like the proportions of a really long t-shirt. It just looks dumb. And if I don't want to tuck it, then I'll just tailor it. So it's going to be the Sauce versus Chaos. Yeah, you can hand wash your jeans if they just have like, I mean, honestly, like you can hand wash, but you can also just spot treat them. Like if there's a specific area that you need treated, then you could just do that too. But like if you've already been washing your jeans and you just didn't know any better, because a lot of people don't, then just keep doing what you're doing. Like most people don't care about clothes to the extent that I do. So like if you've been washing your jeans and that's just how you've lived your whole life, then don't let me fucking stop you from doing that. Like keep washing your jeans. I happen to have a lot of very expensive jeans and clothes in general, so a lot of my clothes cannot just go in a washing machine. That's just how it is. Like I said, my washing machine is mainly used for like t-shirts, underwear, socks, basic stuff like that. But like if it's a nice sweater or a suit jacket or like trousers or I don't know, like pants, like that, a lot of stuff just does not go in the washing machine. Remember to always mix colors and dark so everything goes gray. I've definitely dyed stuff in the past by accident when I didn't know any better. Like I fucking put a pair of jeans in with like other things and just dyed everything a tint of blue or indigo. Carl, wait. Look at my boy Carl. Hold on, wait. What do I have? I have black wings. What account am I signed into right now? No, I would not run a draft local. At least not anytime soon. I don't know anything about that. Oh wait, they started playing. Fuck. I just realized they disappeared. All right, here we go, chat. This is for all the marbles. Yeah, my Patreon and Discord server, I mean, mainly the Discord server is really nice. Like the people in it, because it is basically curated, it's really pleasant. Like you're not going to have any crazy like drama or experiences in my Discord server because I don't go for that shit. Like I will just kick you. If like we don't really have to handle. I think the only person I've ever had to really kick is fucking a guy named James Frazier, which is kind of funny. But for the most part, yeah, we don't have any issues. I remember my wife accidentally washed my corduroys at home one time. I was big sad. Did they shrink like all hell? I'm not doing a haircut for 20K, Ryzen. Turn 1 Duplock. Love to see it. Can you guys believe that people don't play 1-for-1? I think that is such a crazy fucking thing. Like 1-for-1 is literally one of the best cards in the format. It's limited to 1 for a reason. I would play more copies if I could. It like bro went first, then his entire deck out of all the bullshit. Now all he has is Miracle Fusions and bombs. Bro just has Miracle Fusions and bombs, chat. And guess what he's gonna draw? Bombs. Bomb. Did you guys see the Jujutsu Kaisen? No, Chainsaw Man. Did you guys see the Chainsaw Man movie? Bomb. Oh yeah, Dragon Ball Super is coming back. I'm actually excited for that. I am actually excited for Dragon Ball Super to come back. I need some Ultra Instinct in my life. No, I'm not up to date on Freerun. I'm not going to watch Freerun until it's over. Until the season's over. I'm just going to binge it. How do I feel about Scapegoat and Forgs? It's definitely playable. I don't really have an issue with it outside of the... I mean, the good thing about Forgs is that even if you... Oh, he discarded Dark Arm with Water Art. So we had a conversation because Chaos Hexer lost because he saw Dark Arm in someone's hand and he didn't take it. And then later on, the opponent summoned Dark Arm and won the game. And I told him, well, your first mistake was that you fucking saw a Dark Arm Dragon and you didn't immediately take it out of their hand. The rule is in Edison format, if you're watching this, for the 200 people who are watching, if you look at your opponent's hand and you see Dark Arm Dragon, I don't give a fuck what they have. You take that Dark Arm Dragon. Don't fuck around and find out. Don't be that guy. Don't think you're bigger than the program. Do not think that you are bigger than the program, chat. I promise you, you will be humbled so fucking fast thinking that you're bigger than the program. So that's why he's saying, Frazier, I learned. because he took the dark arm out out the hand. Oh, those were some
Shit mills.
Also, milling torrential. Milling torrential is such a betrayal because now your opponent knows you don't have torrential tribute back there, and when you're playing with frogs, torrential tribute is one of the best cards that you could have. So when that shit's in the graveyard, it's just like a really bad thing. Like it's just a really, because look at what's happening now. He's tributing for Caius. He knows that there's no torrential. So like, the worst punish to this is torrential tribute. It would make these mistiming. And he is going to slow walk him down, it looks like, because he still has double Miracle Fusion in his hand. So it's Vayu versus Hero Frogs in the finals, it looks like, by the way. People who were asking that earlier, I just paid attention to realize. The thing about, so I was talking about Scapegoat in Forks. I think you can play basically any card in Forks, technically, because you can, if you draw the pieces to combo, and you're not touching those cards, but if you draw the pieces to combo, you can discard whatever bullshit you put in your deck. So if you play Upstart Goblins and your opponent is at like 8,000 and you don't want them to be at 9,000 because you can only do 8,000 points of damage, you can just discard Upstart Goblin for a Fishborg Blaster. You can discard Scapegoat for Fishborg Blaster because you can't use it if you didn't already in-phase it, right? So if you play cards in the deck and you're having a problem with like, oh, this card's kind of shit, as long as you didn't touch the engine of the deck to fit cards in, then you can play cards in the deck that don't necessarily contribute to the way the deck will primarily function, and it's fine because you'll just discard them to Fishborg. Too long didn't read, you can play Scapegoat. I really hated that dirty Air Force Ones was a trend. Yeah, I never got into like the white girl Starbucks cup with a fucking North Face fleece jacket and the really dicked Air Force Ones. That was never fly to me. Ooh, Cyber Dragon. Then return. Where is this going, chat? Is he gonna do it? Oh, my playlist actually ended. Hold on, let me... It's time for me to put some Claire Obscure music on if my playlist is over. Perfect timing. Scapegoat, one of the most underrated cards in Edison. It did just win the last major, so Scapegoat stonks are up. What's max rarity Scapegoat? I should probably get on that. I hate when that happens. That's just so fucking dumb. Why does this program, this website opens a new tab? Everything you click opens a new tab. I hate that. Like, everything doesn't need a tab. Yeah, I should probably get like a nice Scapegoat just in case I ever decide to play it. But yeah, Scapegoat is a ridiculous card in Frogs. I mean, you already know Substitute and Scapegoat combo together. It's like a wombo combo. Like, you just win the game. It's just funny because it's one of the worst cards against GBs and one of the worst cards against Blackwings. But Tom Max, I don't give a fuck. I want my deck to just do the absolute most, and if you can deal with that, then you deserve to win. And honestly, I love that philosophy. Because I decided to play Froggo TK in GB country. And I didn't give a fuck. I made a conscious decision that I'm going to play one of the most defenseless Frog decks in the format in an entire event where GBs will be the most represented they've ever been in Edison. Take the father out the house. Exactly. You see Dark Arm, get rid of that shit. Is he gonna randomly OTK him? I don't think he can without return now, right? Also, I just feel like if the Sauce doesn't win this turn, the double Miracle Fusion that Chaos Hexer has been just holding casually is going to really like there's no way to overcome that. Stratos, 1-for-1 double Miracle Water Art Gores turn 1, pretty nice. Yeah, that is like a god hand for sure. How long did it take to learn the Forg lines? Like a day. Can't go that wrong with frogs. If Formula Synchron was an Edison format, the format would be unplayable. Never had a heat issue with dirty shoes, but where I live, it's pretty much impossible to have clean shoes because of the weather. Yeah, that sounds annoying. See ya, Tim. There's an ulti scapegoat. The Ultra is the most expensive. I don't. If there's an ulti, I'm getting the ulti. You have an ulti. How much is the ulti scapegoat? Ulti trumps anything for me. I don't give a fuck what other rarity the card comes in. If it comes in ulti, like a good ulti, not those bullshit reprint ultis that they've been doing with like Bonanza and all that stuff. The rarity collection. I don't. Those are not real. Like if it comes in a real ulti, then that trumps everything for me. $27. That's not bad. Yeah, I would like an ulti skate. I didn't know Scapegoat came ulti, by the way. Snowman is okay in Machina. Future of Edison, Forks and GBs, no more birds. Yeah, that's not happening. Birds are just too strong to go away. They're also the best oppression deck, so they have that going for them. Super Book of Moon or Ultimate Book of Moon? How about no Book of Moon? What decks might see more success because GB is so popular, or is it just the next step in the solving of Edison because GB was overlooked? I don't think GBs is enough to really make another deck popular. Like I don't know what deck would become more popular because GBs is popular. You would think that Hero Beat, I guess, but Hero Beat is still exactly in the same position. I also just don't believe that Hero Beat beats GBs. I've been saying this recently, but I don't buy into that. Propaganda, I do not believe. Like so yeah. I've just never liked Book of Moon and Edison format. Like I'm not a fan. When I first came into playing frogs, I remember looking at Rawneck's old frog decks, and one of the first things I did was cut the triple Book of Moon in his side deck. Like it was like frame one, I'm just like, I'm not playing this card. And that was 4 years ago almost. Like I understand why you would play Book of Moon. I just don't believe in it. Yeah, I don't think I've ever side decked Book of Moon and Frogs. I always saw that shit as completely unnecessary. Like, I get it. You can, like, Book of Moon Vanity Fiend in the standby phase and bring back Treatment Frog. You can Book of Moon Fossil Dine in the standby phase and bring back Treatment Frog. You can use it against Trapstun, and I get it. Like, it, you know, all these things, they sound great on paper. They really do. Kudos to that. But as for me and mine, I'm a pass. I'm a just pass. Also, I think, and this is kind of crazy, but I don't know if anyone's done this yet. I feel like in Frog OTK, you can side Chalice instead of Book of Moon because Chalice will keep the Vanity's Fiend in face-up attack mode and cut it off. And you only need that one turn to kill them anyway. So, like, you can now get Colossal Armory Armed, double Armory Armed, after your monster gets Chaliced. Because Book of Moon puts it face down, I feel like that's just worse. I mean, you can still kill if it's face down because you can summon Flamvel Dude and equip 2 Armory Arms to Flamvel Dude, and he'll be like 40... What is he? What's his attack? 20... Is he 22, I think? So he'll be 4,200. He'll trample over Vanity's Fiend. He'll deal 4,800 damage to your opponent from burn. And then whatever the difference between Vanity's Fiend's defense and his 4,200 attack, they might just die from that. But I've yet to play Chalice or Book of Moon in Frogs, so I just don't think that they're necessary cards. I'm a big believer in Soul Exchange. I think Soul Exchange is better. Okay, I was about to say, there's no way this is still game 1, right? Rug. There's no way this walks. Oh, wow. That scares me, though. What are these back row? The summon didn't get stopped. Yeah, so the attack has to get stopped. I'm like, he can't have nothing. Now, here's the next question. What's this? Pole position? Pole position is good in a mirror match, King Kong. So in a mirror match, when your opponent summons Jaizaris, and they pop your back row, you can chain pole position, and it will attach itself onto the Jaizaris, and then the Jaizaris will pop it. Pole position says when it's destroyed or whatever, it will kill the biggest monster in the field. So that's basically what happens. That's how people used to saw pole position because it's actually usable too. If somebody tries to smash and ground your monster or whatever, Book of Moon it, you can chain pole position and your monster won't be affected by spells. But then also you can use it defensively because if your opponent pops it, you can chain it and it'll kill their biggest monster. How do you feel about Hero Frog siding Super Poly against GBs? I don't really think about that, but it seems a bit desperate because you only have like a few targets and you need to have it set when they go for their play, and it could work though. I see what you're like trying to do. I don't think it's like impossible to get off, but I just don't know if it's necessary. But test it, if it works in testing, then you might have cooked or something. I don't know. Got rid of Soul Exchange. This was a really good turn for Chaos. He survived Dark Arm Dragon, a Burial from Different Dimension, and he is higher than Half-Life. Honestly, he has all the conditions in place to win the game now for Frogs. This is like an ideal Frog situation. This needs to be Gores. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a 2-0. Hero Frogs 2-0 in value. A story as old as time. Honestly, like I always say, I think Hero Frogs is just better than value, but value has way more players, and value also has a lot more of the better players. Although I do think that that's starting to shift finally. But this matchup is just not good for value. Like, I think this is 55-45 Hero Frogs. And I think it's getting even more in Hero Frog's favor with like the recent developments for the deck, because value has been the same for years, whereas like Hero Frogs has just been evolving. Like now water art, now we're looking at your hand too. Like DDV used to be like, oh, you get to look at our hand, but now it's like we look at your hand and we actually take anything. We don't just take your shitty little monsters. We take your Dark Arm Dragon, like what happened game 1, right? So it's just getting more and more ridiculous in the favor of Hero Frogs. Like look at this fucking opening, bro. First of all, look at this deck. Like look at this actual deck. Like look at what's happening. And now you just have a random hand of cards. Will I ever go back to Hero Frogs? I have no idea. I'm still learning a lot about Froggo TK. And I'm still testing things out. I'm changing my side deck every tournament, basically, just to see how things work. But yeah, I am really enjoying learning right now because I don't know everything about Froggo TK, whereas Hero Frogs, I feel like at this point, that is an autopilot deck for me. Like, I don't have to really think when I play that deck. Just kind of cut my brain off and play. That was a nasty heavy. Jesus Christ. Now, granted, if he didn't have Heavy Storm, though, the oppression in the D-Prison didn't do anything anyway. Like, they would not have been... They wouldn't have been that great anyway. Holding double Caius. Too many, it's just... Alright, well, there you have it. Chaos Hexer wins with Hero Frogs. I guess I will show you guys his list and then I'll end the stream. Congrats to Chaos Hexer and thanks for playing, guys. If you want to play these tournaments, you have to go through our Patreon. Other than that, yeah, this has been a pretty good stream. So I'm going to turn the Peter Cheng bit into a video separately that can be watched without the tournament attached to it and all that. But this is pretty fun. Today was really a fun stream, I might say. I have to say. Just put it here, I guess. Put it here. And then we will open the link. And here is the winning deck list from tonight. So it is Chaos's Hero Frogs, which is very standard. Triple upstart though with 41 cards. So he's doing the idea behind that is that you thin your deck out and then you play upstart goblins to draw afterwards while your deck has like no frogs in it essentially. And yeah, people have done that in the past. I know Oscar Zalayer won a YCS Ultimate Time Wizard doing that. So we're kind of back there. But now he has the 3 Trap Dust Sheets in his main deck and 5 Monarchs, Junk Synchron, 4 heroes, you know, all the things, all the things. Yeah, solid list. No complaints, no notes. All right, guys, it has been so real. Thank you all for stopping by. I will catch you later. Peace.